You'll simply be one of the thousands who thought he saw a UFO.
Mark it down as another UFO. Blue J4 returning to base.
Hey, what's all this noise? Would you kindly get off the stage? I'm in the middle of a concert. A concert? Honey, you're gonna put the paying customers to sleep with all this jazz. You gotta get the new sound. Come on now, let's compromise. You give a little, I'll give a little. Come on, let's get together.
What? Let the invasion begin.
Are you doing?
Nincompoop.
Sup, bud?
He got beamed up, he got mixed up, he showed back up. So stand up, shut up, and look up, because those aliens are about to get fucked up.
Oh, fucking God, man.
Well, opinions?
I think we're in a lot of trouble.
That's a great help, Mr. Chekhov, Bones.
Well, I think Mr. Chekhov's right. We are in a lot of trouble.
Spock, and if you say we're in a lot of trouble.
We are.
We make assumption you have a deity, or deities, or some such beliefs which comfort you.
Dazzling display of logic. Could extinguish ourselves.
We therefore grant you 10 Earth-time periods, known as minutes, to make preparations.
Spock, you said a while ago that there were always alternatives.
Did I? Guilty party has his choice. Death by electrocution, death by gas, death by phaser, death by hanging.
But do not bring that one. The one with the pointed ears.
The intellectual fuck.
11. 10 seconds. 9. Carcass full of memory banks who should be squatting on a mushroom.
That's fucking ridiculous.
5. Fucking bonkers.
4.
Those bean
3.
counting
2.
sons of bitches.
1. It seems we're going to take a little trip.
You know, I just realized that I am sticking with the term tubular Earth. That is what I am an all-in believer in because it's like totally tubular, man. Welcome back to FTK 83, cool as a cucumber. This might as well actually be the Black Budget 2.0. Darren Grimes of the Grimerica Show podcast has a Black Budget feed for all the people that support the show in any amount, whether it's $1,000 or a one-time of $1. He sends you over a link so you can listen to some of the more controversial, off-topic stuff. Yeah, I've been on there a few times, and we had this conversation between the three of us, and it was a fucking blast. So I'm really glad that we got to have it. But the coolest thing is, after it ended, Jerry suggested that we just continue recording and turn it into an FTK because, well, Jerry's been on it like 3 times in a row, but it's been quite a while since Michael's been on, not since he told his Dragonfly story. So, yeah, we rolled it into a podcast, and it turned out to be a blast. Darren actually sticks around a bit in the beginning, so it's kind of a behind the scenes as well. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I should say this. It sounds a little confusing in the beginning. I left about 7 minutes of the original Black Budget feed recording in there. That is still for the Black Budget Patreons or the people that are donating. But it kind of wets your whistle, keeps you from running in dry, doesn't chafe you on the way in. So you can listen to the convo. But yeah, it's so fucking awesome. I implore you to go and donate $1 or $1 million or whatever to the Grimerica guys. They do deserve it. They're an awesome show. And yeah, this podcast would not happen without them. And having said that, if you want to know more about my podcast, you can find more out at friendstoknow.space. You can also go to friendstoknow.space to learn more about the artist. Check out the show notes for all of the links to the Grimerica Show, Jerry Cthulhu. Can't remember what else I'm putting in the show tonight. There's a few things I have written down. You can head on over to the website and donate, help increase the ability for me to do the show. I was so thankful last month. I had all the expenses covered on Friends to Know. You guys are fucking amazing, and that was a trend that was really cool to see. Merry Christmas to you guys. You're rolling into my season. Great. I'm rambling. I'm just rambling. Okay, let's go on to the next thing. P.O. Box, send me a Christmas card. I might send you a Christmas card. I could be begging. Wow, I sound like I'm on a desperate dating service. So head to friendstoknow.space. Check out all the Arcade High links and music. If you can't afford him, that is okay. You can listen on the YouTubes, on the Bandcamps, all over the SoundClouds, or you can donate and purchase the album and help support this guy and make sure that he becomes the artist that gets to fill your ear holes with this musical love. Go fill your ear holes tonight with Coney Island off of the Heatwave album and Kingdom off the Kingdom album. Good night, guys, and good luck.
Okay, here we go, rolling tape.
All right.
And action.
Thank you, and welcome back to another episode of Black Budget.
I got all that on record, too.
I never heard a Black Budget episode, so I don't even know what the intro sounds like.
It sounds just like that.
This is fails.
The Grimerica Congress is now in session. Welcome, congressmen and congresswomen. You have been invited to the special sitting of this Congress because of your donations to one of the greatest podcasts in the land, the Grimerica Podcast. And now I invite you to please take your seats as we welcome our chairpersons, Mr. Darren Grimes and Mr. Graham. And welcome to the Grimerica Black Budget support
Did you pay to have that one made, or?
Come in studio. The Black Budget has now been approved by Congress. The Black Budget has now been approved by Congress.
It's a little overmodulated.
Roger that. The recording will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
No, yeah, Failed made that. Our buddy.
Very nice. It's very nice.
Sweet.
He actually lives just like 4 hours from the igloo.
Really?
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know it was that close.
Maybe 5 tops, not more than 5 for sure. He's in northern Alberta.
Okay.
He made a few good jingles. He made that one, the Gem Trails one.
Gem Trails.
The Coffee Enema one. And the...
Shout out to Graham's calves. They were pretty ripped.
You need to turn those. Those are too hot, dude.
Yeah, it's only for you guys.
I've thought about that. We need to start sending him stuff just so that he'll say it on air, so that we can make jingles.
People have to get to send him emails to read that cuts out parts they need to make jingles.
Just the clips.
Exactly.
That's all.
Yeah, I haven't tuned out my mix minus to
Darren,
for the jingles properly.
Send me a couple of key phrases that you would like in there, or listeners suggest, and I'll see if I can't weave them.
Dude, look at any Hive.
Come up with
he's
something.
Been on.
Yep.
He's been on tons for hours.
Oh, there's an ISO from your latest episode that I want to grab. It's where he goes, "Oh God," or "I can't even do it."
He's got like 600 hours here too that people comb through. People have started putting things aside to fucking make Graham jingles. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I've got a few.
I'm waiting for a Graham rap to come out. It'll be a good one.
That will be a good one. I could do that.
So we got, it's so much work to undertake, but it'll be funny one day. It'll happen one day, guaranteed. People seem to like making Graham jingles. Graham's not here today, of course. We got Michael sitting in his place.
Hey, Grimerica.
Yeah, and we got Jerry here.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome. This is, of course, listener show. So, a big thanks to all the fucking supporters we got because they paid for the regular show.
Yeah,
and this is a reward to them.
Don't forget to go to conspiracygnome.com.
Oh, that's right. Thanks, Jerry. I forgot you registered that URL.
Sweet. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Or MaximumFuckery.com, too.
Did you know that...
Maximum Fuckery?
That goes to my website.
Did you know at that time that Graham was almost going to use the pseudonym Genome?
No.
For the podcast. Originally, he wasn't going to use Graham as his name. He was going to use Genome.
I didn't at all.
An alias.
Now it's
I was like,
Granos. But no, it doesn't even... No, see, dwarves have like up to 12 names, so... Or gnomes have up to 12 names.
Oh, we were playing D&D one night, and someone said, "That's a conspiracy. You're a conspiracy gnome." And I just like, that's a great fucking domain name. I got to register that.
Perfect.
I was surprised it was not taken.
So this show is actually going to be a little different, probably a one-off, but we're actually going to spend some time brainstorming Michael's new podcast. It's going to be starting up soon, and it's kind of the type of show that needs sort of a community around it. So we're going to do maybe a couple of these shows for the Black Budget feed because, you know, the people that are in the Black Budget are kind of our tightest community members already. So there might be a bunch of people here that are willing to collaborate. There's already a ton of collaboration going on through the chats and everything else, and Friends to Know and Cruising with Steak and all these sort of weird offshoots that have spun out of control out of Grimerica. So yeah, we're going to spend some time actually brainstorming and putting together what's going to be called the True Foe Show one day. And it's going to follow a lot. I don't think Michael's decided whether it's going to be a spin-off or a cousin or how it's going to relate to Grimerica, but it's definitely going to tie back to the community.
Yeah, I think I'd like to have the community involved for sure. Everyone
is it going to be True Foe, TRUEFAUX?
No E. No E, True Foe.
Gotcha.
So
cool.
It all came out of, I met Darren, I guess. I was listening to a lot of podcasts and I was thinking about trying to get one together myself.
I don't want to get into this right now. You can't prove it. You can't prove it's flat. You can't prove it's a globe. So that's where you're at.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense. None of the flat. So I listened to a dozen Flat Earth podcasts and they just diss people who think round.
I know.
Like a ball. They don't really prove anything. They just diss the ball theory. And I don't even know why they call it a ball.
You're not watching the right people.
So who do I watch? I looked up.
Go ahead. You looked up who?
I looked up, what's the guy, Dumay or
Eric Dubay? Yeah, Dubay? He's probably not a good. He's like the Alex Jones of Flat Earth.
Yeah, I think that's it. Is because now you get so much the content kind of gets to keep rolling and grabs.
Plus, you realize you can't possibly please that many people.
Yeah, exactly.
A handful you can, but not hundreds of thousands.
It makes it a lot easier to say "fuck you," "fuck this guy," block.
Yeah,
because I got these guys and these great other podcasts that start up. I mean, the Hive was around before us, before Grimerica, but like Cruising with Steak and Friends to Know, and these all.
But you guys inspired the Hive.
These pop up from Grimerica. It was crazy.
Your show inspired me to do the Hive, though.
Oh, did it? I thought the Hive was around as long as us, almost.
No, we started because I met all those people, specifically Grim and James and Nomad and Failed, all in your chat.
Oh, it's another one from the chat. The
nice.
Chats.
So the Hive grew out of your chats, and it was in my effort to unify podcasters with their listeners. In fact, the original name was called Apollo, which was the Alternative Podcast Listeners Lounge.
Oh, nice.
The first couple episodes we did Apollo, and then I said, this sucks. We're going to do something else. And with the same people, but I didn't like the approach I was taking. So anyway.
That's right. And to all these supporters out there, if you're not in the chats, get in the chats. Grimerica.ca/chats.
Pretty awesome.
That's right. The chats are great things. So I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm not going to hang up on you guys, but I am going to wrap up the recording. It's like an hour and 17 minutes here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know what you think. And make sure you email Michael at justice@truefoe.com. Truefoeshow.com. Like I say, I'll put the link in the show notes. And yeah, let's get this ball rolling on the next show in the hegemony.
Yep. Thank you, everyone, for your help in advance.
Yes, thank you.
Or just for listening and sticking with it.
That's right. It's a community. Join it. If you're thinking about doing a podcast, do it.
Be the change you want to see. To say a lame quote.
There we go. I like it.
Yeah. We should have some meme for, I was thinking about the, yes, we can. Is it?
No, we can't.
Si se puedo. Si se puedo. And then you link it together with the Obama saying that over and over again,
Well,
and then link it with that Joe Biden video the other day that what's his name had on
Joe.
there, Creepy Joe, Uncle Joe, and so it's yes we can, yes we
Satan.
can.
Thank you, Satan.
No dating until you get to be 31. Yes we can. No serious boys. I loved how he put it like that too, because it was like, you can fuck around with all sorts of douchies there until you're 31, but don't settle down.
I'm still trying to figure out how
party until you're 31.
Keep those dicks in your ass until you're 31.
Yeah.
Here's what's
Fucked
crazy.
up.
Wait, let me before I forget. Mike, is it, do you prefer Mike or Michael? By the way,
No, it doesn't matter. Whatever.
okay. Some people are uptight. Anyway, you might want to consider a co-host. That also will help tame you.
Yes.
And then find one who can talk a lot.
It makes, for me, I have such a difficult time doing like intros because I have to just deal with all my thoughts, ideas, and nothing to bounce or gauge off of. Yeah.
But does your show have topics usually?
No, but when I do an intro, like I just, introduce, ask for donations, such things like that, I always kind of get, I don't know, I sometimes record my intros 30 or 40 times. It'll take me 3 hours. I think the longest was 5. Sometimes I get them done in 5 minutes, but I don't know, man.
Sometimes it takes us like 5 tries to get past the first 30 seconds. But once we get past the first 30 seconds, I don't think we've ever shut one down.
It is funny how you're so particular about the beginning.
Yeah, it's a lot of times I'll fucking get everything going, and I'll fucking honestly, this happens more often than not. We finally get everything going, and I'll forget who the fucking guest is. And I'll be like, this week we're talking to... Fuck.
You should write things.
Yeah.
That's okay, man. That could be funny if you just leave it in. Just let that play. Dude, fucking every week he forgets a guest. I love you guys.
You guys had Neil Kramer on, right?
What's Neil Kramer?
He's a philosopher, I guess you'd call him. Matrix philosopher.
That we're in the Matrix?
Yeah, but not literally. Esoterically. He's more of, I don't even know how to categorize him. He's got a really good book called The Unfoldment about how consciousness is unfolding into this new thing, whatever that is.
So it's like the Buddhist way of the lotus flower unfolding?
More like fractals.
Oh, okay. So we're just, everything that we will ever be has already been written in a geometric pattern and we're just playing it out?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think of this, and this is weird. I think of everything in distance and space between each other, like molecules, whatever we look at, it's just the relation, how they interact with each other, the passing, and fuck, I lost my train of thought.
I look at that as not knowing. The farther something is away, the less we know about it.
Yes. But here's the thing, I truly believe that in a full fractal universe, there is an infinite number of possibilities within this, whatever we're doing, and we're on one track. Anything can happen. Anything has happened. And if I combine that with the fact that the universe, in my mind, I choose to believe, without evidence, that it has and always will exist. It is just something there. That means that nanobots, AI, whatever conceivable possibility of anything that has ever happened, that's right now. This is the distillation of it. That's what we are living in, some sort of crazy evolution. And so when you try to pinpoint what reality is, and when you just get hung up on the basics of perception, that the way that you and I see things is going to be completely different. We see different colors, perspectives are completely different. I don't know. I think that anything
because reality
can be
is subjective.
And anything. There could be the most advanced AI that took over and is controlling this Earth. There is the nanobots that have reconstructed the entire universe on top of something that existed before the end of time. But whatever that fuck is, that's here now. So how do you explain that? I don't know. I don't think we are nearly smart enough to start deconstructing the underpinnings of reality. And that's why things seem so crazy and why it's difficult to prove the Earth is flat or the Earth is round, because we have a limited perspective. What if it's like you kind of said, that reality is some sort of holographic deck and we are having a perception of what the world is around us, and that's how we perceive it. That's how it is, but it's not. And then so when we start to measure it, there's some and that's where my mind always goes, that reality isn't what it seems.
It's not. And I think what we perceive as our reality is created by the collective. It's a group thing. So if everyone believes the world is round, it's going to conform to that shape. It's going...
Fuck, so the flat earthers are actually changing the world?
Possibly, if there were enough that believed it, if I'm right.
It's the great religious thing that your thoughts, your ideas, the things that you do and construct in the world, it is all real, it all propagates, it's all a ripple stick. And this reality is the outcome of that infinite stick, and we're on it. So, just in the same way that, our eating habits have changed our jaw shapes and wearing shoes has changed the way that our feet function, the thoughts can affect the world around us, and I think it goes both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely true.
Ripple before the stick. Ripple before the stick. Now, yeah. Ripple before the stick.
Ripple before the stick?
Yeah, you never heard that?
No, what does it mean?
That's like when you see a stick in the river, but the ripple starts like, a few inches before where the stick is. If the water's all flowing down the hill, then how can the ripple be before the stick?
Compression waves.
Unseen rocks.
Actually, you want to know the
so
one
that's like
compression waves.
We use that as a thing for little like subtle precognitive experiences.
It's true. Have you guys...
Because people sent them in as synchros all the time. And I was like, well, these aren't quite synchros. There's something different. Mm-hmm. So we started calling them... I said one episode, I was like, it's like the ripple before the stick.
I was talking to Jerry about this last week. I have it happen all the time with podcasts where I'll choose to do something in my life that just I think is like, oh, I'm going to go and buy this supplement, or I'm going to go and do this thing. And then I'll be listening to a podcast usually 2 or 3 weeks later, and I'll hear somebody speaking very specifically about that. And I don't wonder if it's not that there's a forward, backwards, communication going on somewhere. My brain's picking up going, hey, you should do this only because I experienced the podcast. If I didn't experience the podcast, maybe I wouldn't have made that same choice.
I don't know. In some ways, you start paying attention to things because when you have kids, for instance, and your wife is pregnant, you didn't really notice pregnant women. And now it seems like everywhere you go, there's just a bazillion of pregnant women.
Every car I've ever had.
And once she's done,
right.
Yeah, that's right. You get a car that you hadn't, you have it imported because you've never seen one, or you start paying attention to a certain... You're going to buy a van, let's say,
and so you start looking at vans,
and then all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, there's a bazillion vans around, and I never noticed.
You've never seen a Gremlin X unless you know what it is.
Yeah, my dad had a Gremlin. He loved it. Except all 4 doors were broken, and he had to go in and out the hatchback because it was such a piece of shit.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's like half the cars I've owned.
He was in medical school at the time. It was hilarious. It's one of his favorite stories. Anyway. What I want to say about... There was something there that... I don't know. Have you ever gotten into any of the... And I know this never goes over very well as soon as you say the Pleiadians, but have you ever gotten into any of that, Adam?
No, not really. I do believe in a lot of that stuff, but only because I look at like the work of... why can't I think of his name?
Have you been on Friends to Know? Yeah, you got to go on a Friends to Know soon,
Yeah, he's
Michael.
been on Friends to Know. He just hasn't been back in a while.
Has he?
This is the longest one I think he's probably ever done.
Did you do it all
Bullshit.
for
Dude, I've done 5-hour episodes.
Oh, okay. It was like 3.5
You got to work real hard to beat that one.
Hours at home.
So it worked just over your cell phone, or?
Yeah, just my
Skype
earbuds.
at home, yeah.
Earbuds and my... Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we even Skyped. I think you called me, I think is all it was.
I called you on Skype, but I think Skype will dial out to a number.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the whole I got really into the Pleiadians when I was in my early 20s, and so I read a bunch of their books.
Laird Scranton, this is what I was going to say, just to answer your question. Laird Scranton talks about the whatever tribe that had identified this spot in the stars where these people came from and communicated, and then we turned the Hubble Space Telescope there and we found the same binary system exactly where it is, and it's in like the Pleiades, and then you have the Benny and Barney Hill case, and you have all these things. So I certainly believe that there's something to that. I'm one of those, it's not all or nothing. All UFOs aren't aliens. All experiences aren't Pleiadians. And so I think that there's certainly an extraterrestrial component and something connecting to the Pleiades, but I haven't really followed it further than that.
That's totally true. That they're not all the same. Can I read you just one thing real quick? It'll take 4 minutes.
Yeah, I'm here for a bit.
Okay, 4 minutes. This is out of this book, Pleiadian Perspectives on Human Evolution.
Is it is it a channeled book, or is this a?
Yes. Yeah. Supposedly it's a channeled book. Yep. Yep. So if you have to be into channeling, you have to be okay with that and willing to believe, I guess, suspend belief. But
I'm not willing to believe, but I'm not willing to disbelieve either. So I don't know, man. I believe that this is going to sound so stupid to say this to explain, but I believe in archetypes and I believe in patterns and synchronicities and things that propagate out. Therefore, I kind of like the idea that there can and is truth in everything depending on how you can look at it. So I wouldn't say, oh, well, this is completely faked. If I don't believe in channeling, the fact that it even exists in the world and it's a pattern created by consciousness, there still can be value derived out of it. So that's why I never really will like completely shit on this book or that book, and I take it in. I won't necessarily believe it, but I won't necessarily unbelieve it.
What if channeling is like connecting to some AI like Valis?
Yeah, well, so I'm a little spun out,
my Sega
actually,
game,
to be honest, but
spun out.
Sort of, because I'm starting to think spawned out. Is that what you're saying?
No, I thought you said I'm a little spun out.
Jerry, what's Valis?
What?
What's Valis? Valis.
Oh, Valis is the AI that contacted and talked to Philip K. Dick.
Oh, okay.
That he writes about in his book.
So when I was in my 20s and I started looking for answers. Okay. I started looking for answers. I got into I had a roommate that was into the Pleiadian stuff, so he gave me a few books. I read them and I devoured them. It felt like I had found something that was I'd been missing, sort of thing. I just devoured them. But then everyone that I would give the books to, they couldn't read it at all. They couldn't get past like the first couple of paragraphs. And it just never made sense. People said they would sit for hours at night staring at the same chapter and never could get through it, didn't understand it. But for me, it was like I was like awakening to all of this that was real for some reason. Does that make any sense?
Totally.
And so then both of my grandfathers were Freemasons, and I've only begun looking into it a little bit, but I guess, and when you go from they were both Blue Lodge, I guess. When you get to the Grand Lodge, and I haven't looked into a whole lot of this, so I don't quite know, but when you get to the Grand Lodge, they begin giving you some of the secret type stuff in the Grand Lodge is information about the Pleiades. So the Pleiades is a big deal. And I've always been curious because all these different crazy theories you can talk to people about, but if you bring up the Pleiades, then that's it. You're pretty much done. You're shut down. You're done. That's it.
That's because the Pleiadians fucked us over.
Well, so... And that's the thing, is that I've had the Pleiadian perspective, not necessarily that I believe it and live by it, but just that I've read and understand that perspective, supposedly, that this person wrote that was channeled.
Before you say that, I have a real quick question. Oh, no, go on. I'm sorry.
Wait, was that the Seth Speak stuff? Or
no, this isn't Seth. This is Amora Kuan Yin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't Bashar channel Pleiadians too?
Maybe. I don't know. Well, the Pleiadians sounds like it's a huge collective, and
it is a huge
just one star within their system. So
but there's also the Arcturians, the Andromedans, the Aldebarans, the Syrians.
Yep.
Every star system has a collective that somebody channels.
Yep.
And they're told that they are a star seed of that star culture.
Right. Yeah. Or it's people that live in the earth that are channeling it.
Nobody lives in the earth.
Yeah,
except the Inearthians.
Dude, I don't know, man. Think about this.
Okay, wait. There
people live in the sewers and in the cities and under bridges, and we know there's large caverns and caves. So, I mean, why wouldn't there be people who have found mushrooms or ways to grow over thousands of years in the same way you go to the middle of the Amazon?
Let me correct my statement.
Earth. I got a little defensive there. I didn't mean to get so angry at you, Jerry.
Yes. There may be a breakaway civilization or groups of people that live underground, sure. But like Inner Earth, the whole thing, that's all a dimensional thing.
You know what's... Yeah, but what's crazy is science cannot tell you what is inside the Earth. They can only speculate. And, how come all that speculation is based around all these, like, ancient, satanic gods and such? it gets really fucking weird.
Not only that, all the proof they use today all the mathematics and whatnot for the ball Earth are all from like ancient Greece. That's their proof. Oh yeah, he proved it. We don't have to do it again.
Well, proving it with math. So not proving
math.
it. Yeah.
This, Jerry, is why I'm about doing things like if technology gets to the point where we could build and send you a camera to Mars with a Petri dish, unless somebody's able to, if we could watch the video live all the way there, be a pretty good idea if something's growing there or if it's actually round as we come in. And that's where I want science to go. The way we don't have to fucking listen to NASA or the scientists. We have a technology as long as we trust its truth.
Here's the thing. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Hey, I gotta run, guys. I gotta go to the bathroom and go start dinner.
Okay.
But you guys have fun.
Right?
Yeah, you guys can
stay
Darren,
here, man. Thanks for calling me. It's been fun, man. I hope I didn't talk too much.
It's always
Thanks for inviting me too.
I'll see you guys in the chats.
All right, take care.
Yeah. Hey, don't forget to send me mail.
Right.
What was I going to say?
Yeah, you're...
Fuck, I totally forgot.
You were saying something about...
Okay. With all this stuff about flat Earth and all the contention that's going on and the nonsense, how hard would it be for SpaceX to point a camera at the top of the fucking rocket when it takes off, for once, to show us an actual photograph of the Earth from space, the full Earth from space, not the...
But wouldn't they just say that that's fakery?
Who?
The flat Earth.
They may, but I'm saying that it could easily be proven or disproven if any one of the space contractors, even the satellite, had a camera.
But they do have cameras, and they show all that.
Well, point it the other way. Point it away from Earth.
I contend that there's a lot of stuff pointed outward if the standard, what we're told, and here's another crazy thing, not to go too far out there, but I truly believe in the perception thing. I've talked about it on my podcast a lot, but I've had migraines that are so bad that it changes literally everything. Looked Picasso. Like I remember going to pick up a lighter, and the lighter looked like all different shapes and concave, but everything was that way. My arms were distorted. Everything seemed different, but I could fully interact with the world okay. Now, mind you, this was after having a severe migraine, so I was having, like neural trauma.
You need a chiropractor.
I had a chiropractor for a while.
And it didn't help?
No. The best thing for me has been cannabis. That's been, and this still happened when I was smoking, but it's so infrequent now. But anyways,
Thank you for reminding me.
My perception was changed to such a point that I went, holy fucking shit, I can fully interact in the world, but everything looks weird. And then I go into this other phase, and I see normal. And since that started happening, sometimes when I'm either getting a headache or when I've got one, it's so weird. I have a shower where it's an old Florida house, and so there's a sill right at my shoulder for the window. And so it's pretty easy for me to determine how tall I feel. And there will be times when I will all of a sudden feel like this thing is way, way above me, but I know it's at shoulder height, but it still feels like I'm way short. And then, so my point here is the whole world and everything that we know with collective consciousness and how we know random number generators work and how we're all electromagnetically connected, if perception even goes into that, I mean, it could truly be that what we're looking at is our trying to interact with the world in a perceivable way, and therefore there is space at some levels. There are still questions. It's not fully, worked out and formed how it works. We haven't quite gone there. Hey, what if we never really went to the moon? So all of our observations say it's round, but because we haven't fucking gotten there and actually done the dirty work, it's not truly like solidified in what, our memory and consciousness of where we currently are, in the way that, hey, we don't have dragons and monsters and all this magic of the days before. We're in a different conscious mind. We're in the mind of a flat earth. I don't know. That's where my mind starts cascading and going, I can't lock myself into the idea. And that's why people think I'm crazy when I go, yeah, well, the earth could be round and flat. And it also doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. It is flat and round.
Right. It's both. I was taking a piss, and I thought of a good idea for your show. If you're going to do a flat earth show, have a third opinion. There's this guy named Michael Joseph who did a podcast with THC. I think it was the last one that came out. One of the last two that came out about JFK.
Okay.
Do you subscribe to THC?
I just actually got a subscription with him
Cool.
because
So,
he had
second
what's
hour.
his name? He had Wolfgang on.
Yeah, Wolfgang Halbig.
And I think that dude's legit.
I do too. Anyway, Michael Joseph lays out the esoteric ritual of the moon landing and what it represented.
That blew my mind.
Not necessarily did they go or not go, or is it real or not real. It's just this is what it represents
They built
esoterically.
a giant sigil, a giant piece of magic that instilled a thought within enough people that brought a certain reality
into
to
existence. I.e. space.
Yes.
Yep.
Or at least near space.
Yeah.
What was it? Michael Joseph?
Michael Joseph, yeah. He's on YouTube as Schism 206, I think.
Okay.
He's got a great series of videos that he made called Occult Science. And you can start at 0 and go up to, I think they go to 30 or 31.
Have you gotten into Rudolf Steiner at all?
He's an old dude, right? Old German?
I think he was actually Austrian. But he was around in the late early 1900s. I think he died in 1920.
Remind me what he did, because
it's the Waldorf schools. Was patterned after he created the pattern for the Waldorf school system.
What is the Waldorf school?
Do you have kids? Do you have kids, Jerry?
Yeah, I have two girls.
Okay.
Is that who's walking around in the background there?
No, that's my house guest.
Oh, cool.
The Waldorf schools. It's basically his. I haven't read a whole lot of the stuff for the Waldorf schools themselves. I've listened to a number of Steiner podcasts because my wife is homeschooling our kids, and she's chosen Waldorf because it's all about whole child. So you're not sitting them down and just trying to, with rote memory, just beating stuff into them.
It's not the Prussian education system.
You're trying to create a whole being with the child.
Right.
So it's fairly well laid out. But when you listen to Steiner, because it's 100 years ago, and he founded the Anthroposophy Society. So, and it's all about theosophy, which is the scientific study of spiritual development. And if you want to listen, you should really listen to it if you haven't, Adam. His name is Rudolf Steiner.
I'm going to write this down.
Just look that up. There's a guy who reads them on Overcast or whichever one you want to use. But
I've definitely heard of them. You should read. Have you read like the Manly P. Hall's book or any of the old Mason stuff?
Yeah, I had a friend who got really into it, and he had the Hall, the Manly P. Hall. And he was also giving me some Rosicrucian stuff at the time. But as soon as I started looking at the information, like my temperature went so high that I couldn't do it. I couldn't really look at it. So I had to give it back to my friend. But
that's good. You were getting triggered.
It was a huge trigger.
Well, yeah. Well, that's part of waking up, man. You got to get over those triggers.
I'm sure it is, but at the time I couldn't handle it, and so now it's taken a little while for me to get into it again.
My big one's been politics. The fight within to pick a side, to want to be on a team, and keep having to go back to the fact that, okay, there's a lot of bullshit about Trump and what they're saying that's not true. He's also a piece of shit. He's the guy that got into the position. And there's a deep state and all these horrible things running behind the scenes that is what needs to be hated and needs to be focused on, and it's a real trouble, and it's not the left and it's not the right. And I always find myself coming back to where like I emotionally like feel like I want to defend or do things. I'm like, no, that's, the system is fucked. Like it's fucked up that they're saying things that aren't true, but it's also fucked up that guy is in there and still playing and doing the old game and still selling, the munitions to the Middle East. Like it's, I don't know. And that's the big one for me where I like it because constantly I can look at it and go like, why are you doing this in your mind?
There have been times in my life where I'll say things to whomever is around and it's not really, it doesn't really sound like me when I say it. And it's usually very congruent and everything sounds correct and everything. And I've paid attention that those things are typically, they they're not that far off, even though they're like really far out when I say them.
Do the exact same thing. You just you just talk to someone, you're talking, and then in the conversation, you just go blah 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 blah, blah, and you're like, wow.
Yeah, it's like that's why I believe in channeling, because it feels like something just moves through me. It doesn't like it possesses me; it just moves through me. You know.
I do,
and I kind of found that when I was skateboarding, the kids I was hanging out with when I was in my teens, because I kind of noticed that if you felt that and you stuck with it, and no matter what, you rode it out, like you were, I don't know, that's kind of a weird thing. But anyway, the point I was going with that was, I shouldn't have gone off on that tangent.
I didn't think we were on a tangent.
Well, I remember something that I forgot earlier.
I haven't smoked in a while, so
I can't remember the exact scene, but I was watching Airplane, and there was a scene in the beginning where I started laughing hysterically. I love the movie; I've seen it a dozen times. You know, it's one of the greatest. But I started laughing.
Fletch is good too.
Well, the beginning of this movie, there was a scene. I can't remember which one it is, but I'm like, this is not crazy today. It's no longer crazy. It's no longer absurd. This is reality. That's why watching Running Man scares the fuck out of me. And I'm not even joking, because I go, this is like halfway, like we had Jerry Springer, and that was kind of crazy. Now,
well,
there's
do you think
really
that
this
was
shit
programming, though? That's the question.
Well,
were they programming you back then to create that reality?
As above, so below. Everything's reflective of something else. So I don't think it's necessarily one influencing the other. I think it's kind of a bi-directional thing.
Did you read my article, Adam, that I sent you?
Oh, no, you know what? I didn't.
It's again relating exactly to this topic.
Well, I think I remember now. I was speaking to my wife the other day, and I had that kind of where it was something went through me, and I said something like all of it is coming down. All of it is coming down. You know, it's going to be torn apart brick by brick, maybe, or it's going to come down in big chunks. But
I love this idea.
Everything you know of as the government or the authority or the large power structures, it will all be leveled. Everything
we thought was true is being upturned. Everybody's belief in Hollywood and politics, it doesn't matter what it is. I absolutely love it. It's a weird reordering of the world, whether it's flat Earth, round Earth, everything's getting inverted. I mean, it makes me say
it's gone viral. Yeah,
dude,
guys,
fucking
it's
the Mayans were right.
Hello,
something happened. Yeah,
it's the apocalypse. It's the unveiling.
Did you guys listen to the one I did with them on the Revelation 12?
Oh, there we go.
On September 23rd, did you guys listen to that one with Grimerica?
No, I haven't listened to Grimerica.
Oh, okay.
About 6 months. I stopped listening to podcasts, pretty much.
I related Revelation 12, if you're familiar with that.
I'm not a Bible dude.
Okay. And with what was going on, because they were making these Bible people, they were making a big deal out of September 23rd.
Yeah, 2015.
2017, 2015, and then 2017, right?
Right.
The two were combined, right?
Right.
And
the Grand Jubilee. I know all this stuff.
And what was happening in the sky at the time was that the sun. Well,
I know what you're going.
The sun was in Virgo,
right?
And Jupiter was coming out of her, and
the Virgin was giving birth to Jupiter.
Yeah, and so then I related it to Merkel. Doesn't have any kids, and she has she's standing on the authority because it was the moon. The moon is at her feet, and the 12 stars are at her head. Yep. And on the flag of the EU, there's 12 stars, and the moon was the UN and the authority of Ban Ki-moon, who basically did. That the UN is doing is based on policies that he helped put in.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so she's standing on the authority of Ban Ki-moon with the EU, keeping the EU together is like in her head. That's what she's striving toward. And Jupiter, the Macron, the guy from France.
Yep.
He has called himself Jupiter, that he will rule like Jupiter.
Yeah.
So I was relating all that together. And then the big question at the end of that show, because we did it on September 20, did it around there sometime. Maybe it was the 24th we did it. 20. Anyway.
You should record this. Adam, you should be recording this.
Anyway, it was...
I can stop. My system always starts recording.
No, you should be.
Oh, I am recording it.
Great. Thank you. Keep going. I'm sorry.
I'll turn it into a podcast if you guys want.
That's what I'm
thinking. It already
thinking.
is. That's what I'm explaining. It's already...
Keep going.
For Grimerica. And so the Jupiter was Macron because he's related. He said himself that he's going to rule like a Roman god.
Does that make his wife Juno?
Darren read it out.
No, I remember when he said it.
Yeah, and so then the episode kind of ended with, because as the revelation goes on, it talks about the red dragon also came and it was there to snatch up the child. And so the question at the time was, who is the dragon? No, the child. The child is Macron in France and what he's doing.
Oh, because he's Jupiter.
Jupiter, right? Yeah.
So who's the dragon?
And the dragon, that was the question, the red dragon. But now, since then, Mohammed
bin Salman
is all the pictures you see, he has the red headdress on, and he's also up and coming right now at this same time. So soon she should be chased off into the wilderness, and she's already losing. Actually, when she was the night she was reelected was the night that we did the show. And so that was the big deal. And the whole thing was all lined up to happen right on that night, basically. And, so.
It's pretty interesting.
So now we need to unpack the red dragon, because you've been paying attention with what's going on in Saudi Arabia taking over the way MBS.
The red dragon. What does the Bible talk? What does it really?
Y'all just signed a new law just yesterday, I think.
Who?
About how MBS.
Okay.
I could pull it up real quick, but it's
what was the law?
But the law is that if anyone says anything bad about him or his government, then it's a mandatory, I think, 10 years in jail.
Oh, not cool.
Yeah, so you can't say anything at all about anything he does.
Well, what?
What government?
It's just like
Saudi Arabia.
Oh.
So, all right. Well, I'm 50-50 on him. I don't know if he's cleaning up or taking over or both.
It's hard to say.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can clean up and take over without having help.
Well, maybe cleaning up is taking over. What we see as cleaning up is him taking over to him.
If it's all fucking bad guys, you are cleaning up, but
right.
What are you replacing the house with?
Patsy is
no matter what, there's a vacuum, and look at this, to be able to clean house, what kind of power does it take to do that? So that guy.
Wait. Let's look at Trump's trip and where he went. Obviously, first stop was Saudi Arabia, right? Mm-hmm. And then he went to China, I think.
I don't know. I only pay attention when he's in town.
I know where he went. I don't know the order.
I didn't follow the trip entirely.
The last stop was Vietnam or the Philippines, right? But it was like Korea, South Korea, China, Japan, Philippines, Vietnam. And he went and met with the leaders of all these countries. He was invited to dinner. You see me doing the Donald Trump?
That's genius. I never noticed that.
He was invited to dine in the Forbidden City.
First person
ever.
First president
ever.
Well, they wanted to impress him after he impressed them because he dropped the mother of all bombs, right?
Did he?
Xi Jinping came for dinner, and after dinner, he dropped the mother of all bombs in Afghanistan, and it was like impressive.
It's a little bit weird if you look at the number of casualties versus the amount of damage that was done.
It was a real bomb.
Yeah, I heard a lot of speculation that what they did is they did send over a lot of bombs, but they also had secondary targets in other countries. because the amount of damage on those runways was not conducive with the amount of missiles that were supposed to have been launched.
Was
so
the
idea is,
Minutemen?
I launched 20, 10 go
50.
here. But I'm saying whatever the number, a certain percentage goes somewhere else.
Right, but that was the whole. That's what I saw. That's all I saw in that whole thing was the numbers, because it was a fucking weird number of missiles. It was like, I don't remember.
Oh yeah, it was 49 or something like that, or 51.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a weird oddball number.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And then they showed them going off, and it looked like fireworks. I'm like, God, come on.
So then
It could have been stock footage for all we know in a story.
Yep,
Who's gonna
totally.
say otherwise?
So then when he goes to visit she takes him, she, down to see the Forbidden City, right? So that's just like, sounds like they're buds to me.
I think Trump's the dragon.
And it sounds to me like they're using, I don't know, I hate to say it, but that they're using MBS to do all this, but.
Who is? Trump and the deep state?
I don't know. I mean, they're shaking hands. He's shaking hands with Netanyahu, right?
He has to.
So you got Saudi and Israel now partners against
not now.
Hezbollah.
Forever have been.
Yeah, but now out.
Out, yeah.
It's out now. Yeah.
I was just talking to someone about that today.
And Yemen is like, the people are all starving to death in Yemen, and
Maybe.
U.S. and Canadian taxpayers are all.
Are they?
I wouldn't doubt it. There's people starving all over. They're doing crazy shit.
Are they?
You know? Africa is not even a continent anymore. Now it's called Africom.
Africom?
Yeah. From what I understand, it's like 98% U.S. controlled now.
Oh, I believe
Africa.
that.
Yeah, well, there's a huge scam with NGOs.
Before I forget again, the Saudi Arabia thing. Did you hear the story that came out of the president or prime minister of fucking Lebanon, who said that Blackwater is torturing?
Yeah, they are. That was outed. That his mercenaries are doing that. It makes sense.
Wait,
that's why you hire them.
It's gone. Blackwater.
Well, it's been changed.
They just changed their names
2 years ago, but he didn't say the new name. He said Blackwater, which is interesting.
That is interesting. You are right about that. Yep. I got to see those
might not
guys
be the
work.
same people.
Yeah. I got to see those guys, what I believe, working at that show that I told on Adam's program.
Yep. I forget what I named it. Dragonfly something.
You saw them all working at the Vegas shooting, taking pictures, filming things.
Totally.
All that shaky hand cam stuff. That was all that.
I actually didn't watch very much of the Vegas stuff because I just I don't believe half the shit I see on there anymore.
I watched it all and saw an elaborate stage production, a distributed Blair Witch project.
Yep, totally.
It's totally what it was. And
you know what? The next one, what you should do is you should record all that stuff for the next one and put out like a 2-hour documentary that's just that, like all paced together, Blair Witch style.
Oh, that's a great idea. I will do that. If I
The
see
next
the same
one's
patterns,
coming.
I will.
What do you guys think about the Vegas shooting being a cover to try to assassinate one of the Saudi princes? That guy that was, being walked through, that it was a cover. They were trying to,
Mohammed bin Salman. That's what I'm talking.
It's been proven not to be him.
Oh,
I'm not saying he wasn't there. But yeah, I'm
so
not saying
here's
he
a
wasn't
question
there.
then: Who
was there.
Who can command that kind of armed authority in that situation and not have the police be looking at them in addition? They were just kind of there.
Let me put it back to you this way. Whenever a prince comes to the United States, unless it's super incognito, I guess, but he's always got this ridiculous entourage of like 3,000 vehicles or people in vehicles. So 300 vehicles, 3,000 people.
Not anymore.
And they're like gold plated, some of them, it's ridiculous.
They don't do that here.
They do. When they come to the US, they bring those entourages around.
Not 3,000 people. That's like a fucking cruise ship of people. No way.
I'm telling you, look it up.
I will look it up.
That's what I've.
You're getting lost in the weeds.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's good. I did too, and I went through all the. I know so much about this. The Saudis own the top 5 or 6 floors of the Mandalay Bay.
I thought it was 13, but yeah.
Whatever it is, I don't remember. It's its own hotel called the Four Seasons, and there's a 20 or 30 floor gap, either in numbers or in physical. I think it's just in numbers. Those. I think the hotel goes up to 40, and they start at 60. Not that matters. There was a story out there that the MBS was staying there in the Four Seasons and snuck out to play cards at Tropicana. And that was him getting escorted out, and that was his personal security squad. That was a story, but people have done analysis on that chubby dude with the purse in the back and said it's not him. That's that. He was.
I don't know. I don't even pay attention to any of that kind of stuff because it's like it's too far out there. You know, you can't prove that it is the guy or not the guy, and you can't prove who's telling the story or not telling the story.
There's one story that I like, and it's from this guy named Field McConnell. He runs a website or channel called Able Danger.
Okay.
And I'm not saying I like all of his stuff, just this story sounds good. That Stephen Paddock, we got to get back to Paddock. Paddock, okay, I'm going with the assumption that there was a high-value target taken out and there was distraction to take away
really?
From it.
Not just chaos and sacrifice ritual?
Well, why does it have to be
not at all.
in
not
one?
at all. Not at all. That was completely... Okay, that's the second half of this discussion. Vague... Okay, so...
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. It's okay because I want to get this into a cohesive thing because I want to write it out. It was an assassination of a high-value target.
Okay.
And something happened. Something went wrong. Okay. But the assassination thing also had distractions. That's why there were shooters at every hotel. There were like 7 different hotel shooters. The gunshots were probably, I think they were trying to blow up the fuel tank to create a giant distraction. So they shot at it, but I don't think they wanted to kill anyone. They just wanted it to blow up. That's why they used that non-heat explosive rounds, whatever they were supposed to use, armor piercing. Whatever.
What was it that blew up?
From the distance of Mandalay Bay, they were shooting at the fuel tanks on storage on the airstrip of the airport.
They had found fuel tanks with penetration marks that were leaking, but they didn't ignite.
I just think they want to correct something. So the idea is, and what this guy brought up, is that Stephen Paddock was the high-value target. And the shooting, or alleged shooting, was a distraction. And everyone basically, it was a hybrid event where you had real people who didn't know what was going on, and then you had like actors, I guess, or a production crew in the concert who acted like they were getting shot and took that video camera and did all that shooting, right? That got out because everyone else's phones were taken away from them and wiped by the FBI.
Yeah, that is the weird stuff when you start getting into it, where it's not, hey, it's not what I'm told, it's what you're not told. How come you're not told? Okay, that's the answer to my question.
Oh, man. They've changed the timeline like 3 times. We still don't know how the guy died. The guy on the floor who got shot in the head, the picture that came out the day after. How often do crime scene photos come out that quickly, right, after a crime? A, B, why were there no forensic markers anywhere in that scene? No one has asked that question.
You know what I want to know? Here's the thing.
That's
there's
the
some
only
very simple
pictures
things
they take at a crime scene.
I go back to the beginning. I looked at the official story and I go, okay, guess what? You show me dead kids on TV. You show me this guy shot and bleeding on the ground. You show me Osama bin Laden littered with bullets. Okay, we can see it all. We've seen people get shot live on TV and destroyed by animals. It's out there. It's visible. It's in our society. So this guy had purportedly cameras set up outside the room. He had cameras inside the room. I want to see the video leading all the way up before, unedited all the way through. Now, I'm not discluding any fuckery past that because I could think that, you know what, if you were really smart, you could stage a scene exactly like it's going to be in the hotel, so somebody shows up and sees it like it, and you intersplice the video through some sort of very intricate software program inside. Now, but having said that, I at least want to see, okay, here's what you say the evidence is. Let us deconstruct it. Let us analyze it front to beginning, all the way through your entire investigation. Let me see those 36 hours until that guy goes into the recorder and pops that SD card out. Sorry.
Have you been to Vegas?
There's a fucking million cameras
It's
everywhere.
the most surveilled city in the world. We have seen
Next
zero
to Disney,
footage.
they're
footage.
like this: Disney, the Pentagon, and Vegas.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, but see, I don't pay any attention to any of that stuff because it's all fuckery. It's all psyop. All of it. Like falling in and spending your time looking at all that is just.
Well, here's the crazy thing. Forget what else is
just
going
there
on.
to fuck up your mind is all it's there for.
Yes and no.
None of it is true. You can't prove.
Well, no,
any of
Jerry's
it.
right.
I'm not looking to prove it.
Here's
dude.
the yes, though.
I know. No. I mean, I'm
finish
not
what I
coming
was
down
saying.
on you either. I think I'm more so what I'm saying is that it's like it's almost like it's toxic,
it's a
and they're
distraction.
just putting out toxic media,
It's a
and they
viral
want people.
distraction.
Yeah,
Yes.
they want people to ingest their toxic mind fuck.
Never
Correct,
let a good tragedy go to waste. So no matter what
crisis.
happens, whether there's something obfuscated behind the scene that's real or
Piggybacking.
you're always going to have that thing stuck on top, whether it's politicians, the deep state, or some other organization, a George Soros, who the fuck knows? But that's always going to be the icing on the cake, and it's hard because you got to get through the icing to actually get to the cake.
Yeah, Crisis Solutions. What was it? Do you know
Crisis
that?
actors are
Reaction
real.
solution.
There's crisis
No.
actors. Just Google it. Wait, you were at
No, it's
four of the scenes?
CrisisSolutions.com. It
Oh, yeah,
used
yeah.
to be Crisis Solution. Ale Demigard.
Yep.
Yeah, Ole.
He talks about Crisis
Sure.
Solutions.
It's real. It's true. It's not a conspiracy, but that doesn't necessarily mean that what they're stacked on top of. You can make something look a lot worse. And I kind of look at it this way too.
Wait. Also, there was a drill going on.
There's always a
over
drill.
at the Who.
There's
over
always
at
a
the
drill.
Look, or what's it called?
It was
Hooters.
No, it was citywide multiple active shooter drill going on that weekend, and they hire crisis actors for it, and they have the Craigslist ads from 2 weeks before that ask, we need actors for this.
Well, now
So-
there's also another thing that I could
Wait,
put out too.
let me
Oh,
finish.
yeah.
Let me get all my stuff out. So
sorry.
also now people are dying. People who have contradicted the official story have been dying mysteriously in car crashes.
Yeah, that's fucked up, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And
Now,
the chick at the beginning that died.
maybe
Do you remember her?
the first one who died in her bed, right?
Yeah, of natural causes. 28-year-old girl. So this is what told me that the PSYOP has actually evolved now, so that the social media stuff that's written out is going to be part of it. What happens continuing on after the event? It's all continuing to be part of the PSYOP that they're running.
It's not the people, but nobody's killing these people. That's my conjecture. That
I don't know. I don't know if these people in this
and
thing
if I could
exist.
finish what
is
I was
I'm
saying, if I was saying exactly.
Yeah, sorry.
Get into that.
I don't think they exist. They're made up too.
I like you. Yes, they. Yeah, they're not real. But
In the car crashes. This one last guy, maybe, but
yeah. Well, we don't know. Like, I know what you're talking about. The father and daughter, or father and wife that were shot in their hut in Tennessee. That they were
I didn't hear about that one. No,
That was the very first people who died.
Oh.
Like allegedly, the FBI raided their thing. The physical thing, the realistic thing about what I saw was that the FBI, CIA, whomever were complicit in whatever happened. Something was supposed to happen, like a Fast and Furious kind of thing, like drug running or gun running, and it went sour. It went south. And that's why we're not getting the full story. That's why no one's got. That's what's going on.
Yeah. That's
Now, whatever else has been piggyback on top of it. We can't
Jerry,
talk.
this is what I was.
But that's the official story.
Right.
But that's the official story.
No, the official story is a lone gunman. It's a JFK story. Now, what's important? What I see is all the numerological shit that's embedded in this thing, and where it happened, like in front of the Sphinx, in front of the Black Pyramid. You just exactly what you talked about before. It was a ritual. It looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. But it could also be staged to set up somebody to make it look like it's them doing it.
And maybe that's the power to the ritual, because you talk about people doing magic where you use sex or ejaculation or emotions and cutting.
Well, here's what I think. I think that this event was constructed there, but not by anybody's one choice. It was a piece here, piece here, piece here, all came together there.
That's how it
like
works,
an episode,
man. Well,
like an
synchronicities
episode
happen,
of Black
right?
Mirror.
Why can't
One at a
things
time.
draw together on the negative just as they do on the positive? You know,
I don't think it's.
forces.
What I'm saying is whatever's there is some kind of let's call it a vortex or cross point or whatever. You know, it's
attracts like.
It's
An
like
episode on Black Mirror.
Say it's a ley line cross point, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a vortex. It's some kind of energy center, and this kind of thing, the energy that was produced by that event went into that vortex. So it emanated. And I'm not saying this happened instantly. It happened. Okay, just wait. So what I'm saying is that the number patterns that came out of it is like a feedback mechanism for us to see what really went down there. What kind of, it's an energetic.
When
like
the
echo.
wave
It's an
crashes,
echo.
the
It's an
crash that
echo.
you see manifests in numbers that propagate within our reality.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's like that's the energetic residue left behind from what happened.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
Now, on a ritualistic side, if you are doing that as a ritual, you can use that as a positive indicator that your ritual was successful. Now, my last point was saying that depending on what kind of magic that was, if it was, or whatever happened, you know, that could have opened a portal for all we know, if those are even real. But things could be coming out of that and killing these people to keep the energy flowing for what it's getting. It's getting all the heartache and sorrow and money and all the people that are, you know, oh, keep Vegas strong. You know what I'm saying? All the people who buy into the real story that people died there. Not that people didn't, I don't know.
It sounds like people died at this one.
It sounds like it.
I think it was a real ritual.
But look, we had real gunshots being fired in public, so yeah, of course people are going to die. But
did we? Where are all the bullets?
Well, you have bullets in the gas tank.
Where
Yeah, I
are
guess
the
you're right.
autopsies? Where were all the funerals?
Yeah.
Where were all the ambulances? Why did they leave the bodies off for 24 hours?
And here's the thing, Jerry. This is what
Totally,
bugs me.
I'm sure
These are
there's
all-
a ton of
These are all
questions.
questions that could and easily be answered in our society of information. And the fact that it's not, and then you start having videos questioning these things getting pulled offline, it goes, you know what, look, I don't know what the fucking truth is. I don't know why the videos aren't there, but they should be. And then when you have to start the stacking of the content being, you know, censored, you go, okay, well, I don't know what's going on, but somebody doesn't want me to know what's going on. So, yeah, I might not have access to the truth now, but it's not what you're telling me because you're trying to force
Correct.
something down my throat.
And that's the important takeaway. And the second one is that, I forgot what I was going to say now. Damn it. So, I forgot what I was going to say. God damn it. I'll think of it in a second.
All right. Well, until then, and you can interrupt me and take over, I was going to piggyback earlier and say that one thing that I could also see going along with these, not an all or nothing, but I see the FBI taking people and they do an investigation, they try to stop them, they figure out a person that they can give information to that's going to be susceptible to be mind controlled. I think of the Boston bombing. You know, you have these two brothers that are interviewed on multiple times by the FBI ahead of time. You have teams that are going through with what looks like radiation detectors and dogs. And so you have these highly specialized people. And I go, okay, well, here's maybe what happened. We've got these people set up. We've got them set up with a fake pressure cooker or whatever we're going to do. And then we're going to go in and we're going to bust them. And we're going to look like the great guy because we did the 6-week cycle. We stopped, you know, this terrorist attack. But this one got the fuck away from us. And because it got away, we also had a contingency plan, was to have, you know, crisis actors and these other things so that we can then, you know, milk this thing in another way. So I always go behind, like, it could be that they're trying, because sometimes I really think that's what happened. It gets away. And then you go, yeah, that's why they went ahead and murdered this guy. Why all the eyewitnesses said that, you know, he wasn't just gunned down. They just ran him the fuck over. Like, I don't know.
Who are you talking about?
It's
Boston bombing suspects.
Oh, Boston bombing was all fake.
Yeah, totally.
Well, this is what I'm saying. I
But see,
say, but what if it's a real event where these guys got away, and then there's also crisis actors? So it's real, it's
Yes.
fake, it's covering up their fucking mistakes, and they had a drill there because they go, look, sometimes it can get away from us. And same thing with San Bernardino. I think it
Right.
was they set people up. They were, you know, because you hear about it all the time. Well, we gave them a fake bomb. Well, what happens when instead of taking the fake bomb, they got a hold of real bomb material and they go and do the attack, and you got to wipe your hands fucking clean and make up a story? And that I'm not saying it's all, but I certainly know that it's a percentage of them. So I always go back to that as my baseline of going, what the fuck are you guys doing?
San Bernardino sound like mercenaries to me. They just went in there just to make problems and blame it on the Arabs.
It was probably a hit.
And possibly it could have also been, something like that. You don't know who's at these things. You know, like you were saying, I want to go back for just a second, because you were saying Paddock was the mark, right? So they were.
That's the theory, yeah.
Well, his lifestyle would be indicative of an arms dealer.
But was he really? Yeah, but was he that big? Was he really? Was he really that big?
Well wait.
Maybe. I guess we don't know who it was. The other thing was, if MBS was there, the prince, the crown prince. So was he the mark, or was he there and had a mark to clear? Or?
Well, apparently he was not the prince that was there. So this other guy might be a mark, but it's fucking Vegas. So just because that guy's, and who the fuck knows? Maybe that was the distraction.
There's no confirmation of any Saudis there that night.
Okay.
I've even heard that Aloid was there. Everyone was going to be there. Whatever.
It was a huge ritual, right? You wanted to be on the edge of it. You wanted to be there for it. I get it.
Looks like there might have been shooters on the roof of the Mandalay. There was a helicopter with a swapped out transponder looking like a Southwest Airlines plane.
Yep.
There was lots of anomalies, which all kind of echoed 91 and 10, by the way.
Hey guys, I'm gonna take a sideline here just to go into how to maybe explain how this crazy shit can happen and not be quite explained. I had an ex, and I believed her on this. Her ex was his dad, and he lived with him. They lived with him. Had a ton of guns, the type of guns that, I mean, they're completely legal if you have the right things, but people could look at you as being maybe a
gun nut,
or if shit broke down, you could be a problem. And for whatever reason, so this is the only draw line I could find for why there would be interest on this person. But she said that she was outside with her ex, sitting outside, and they felt this huge wind just whip up over them. And they look up, and there's a helicopter 50 feet above their head, completely black, hovering there, completely silent. No sound. And this is back in the early 2000s. So when I hear things like that...
Did you ever see Blue Thunder?
Yeah, right. But this is a real experience from a real person. And they said that as soon as they looked up, it was there for a few more seconds, and then it just left. So it was like a fucking message. It's we're going to hover over your house. We're here. You can't. And this is Florida. This isn't any, this isn't crazy,
Or it wasn't real. That's why it didn't make any noise.
No, maybe it was a UFO.
No, I think their tech is pretty good. I think their tech with those is pretty good now.
It could be tech, but
anyways,
if they just show up like that, that means they're listening to everything you say. It's like.
My point is, though, that's a technology that even today people say you don't have completely silent helicopters that can be 50 feet away from you and you can't even hear them. Well, absolutely.
Sure, you just don't know about
100%. And it's the same thing with technology. It's the same thing with when you start looking at harmonics and frequencies. And if you look at some of the video at 9/11, there could have been some yet unknown, highly technological thing that could cause the extreme oxidation of steel. And these things are valid to think about, because if you look at the deep state and the technology that they've had and what gets rolled out, and that it's at least 20 years behind us, and it's I think 20 to 60 years, but then you go into AI and quantum computing and exponential growth and new physics, and you don't know where the fuck they are. So for us to even assume that we know how they could be manipulating our minds or the situations, I go, no, we don't. And that's why, it could be why things look so fucking weird, because you're looking at magic that's just high advanced physics that's 60 years above you. Go back in 60 years and try to explain to somebody the phenomena that they'll have from a cell phone that can project a 3D image into a cloud.
But it might be older. It might be
Steiner. We started talking about Steiner.
200 years old. Yeah, Steiner, go ahead.
Steiner's, they're into theosophy, so it was the scientific study of spiritual development. And he brings it back pretty quickly in his lecture. He says, we also have to understand the Luciferic terms there, because if you have the yin and the yang, then you have to go to however far you go in the light, however far down the path of the light you go, at some point you have to enter into the darkness and go through the depth of the darkness to get back to the light. And it's all about the yin and the yang.
Long dark night of the soul.
And yeah, so, which I don't think it's all two-dimensional. You know, it's much higher than that. You get stuck. You can get stuck going round and round and round and round if you think of it that way.
Like that Rat song.
But that's what the Theosophists were sort of into at the time. And at the same time, he freely talks about, you know, the Rosicrucians being the foundation of the Freemasons. And all of it is Egyptian knowledge, you know, ancient Egyptian worship. And
I would argue that Pythagoras was the first Freemason.
Well, that's what they say. They're all heliocentrics.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep.
You know.
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
That's right. They transformed their god, whatever their god is. I can't think of it right now, but they transformed their god into a sphere. They're squaring the circle.
Well,
yada yada yada. That's why.
Isn't the Pythagorean theorem based around the Fibonacci sequence, essentially the golden ratio that everything is built upon?
No,
I mean, to me that's God. To me, by the way, that ratio to me is the essence that everything unfolds from, like in a fractal.
Now, let me give you the converse to that. I look at that as an infection, as a virus, because it has no end. It's an infinite thing, right? And infinity doesn't exist. It just means we don't know, right? It's kind of an excuse. It's a lazy excuse. We don't know how far it goes, so we'll just call it infinite.
Well, it's outside your
scope
ability to measure it. That's right. So, like, you know, if you were in a petri dish and you were the bacterium growing on that petri dish for however long, into where you got sentience and you began to realize where you are, and you built cities of bacterium and everything on your petri dish, you know, anything that's outside of that is infinite to you, because you have no way to look outside of that.
I understand.
But you have to.
I'm just making the
grasp.
argument.
Okay. Yeah, but you have to grasp that you live in a place where obviously, just, you know, a very short observation of the world around you tells you that there are things that you do not know that are, you know, infinitely bigger and infinitely smaller. So
my favorite one: how does electricity work?
I think I know.
But mainstream science has no proof on the. I mean, we know what it does, but we don't have a fundamental understanding.
I forgot what I was going to look up now.
But the great thing is, we use it. We're using it right now. We use it to great effect, but we don't quite know how it works. But it's still highly effective.
I understand plasma physics.
Plasma physics is where it's at.
Yeah, I believe so too.
I've been watching this guy who's been talking about electricity, because he's been doing experiments and trying to recreate what Tesla was talking about. And what he's come out with and what he's stated is that electricity is not a flow of electrons through a conductive thing, right? It's not a pipe with water going through it like you get normally, you're taught, right? He said what it is, it's a resonance, and it's a frequency, and voltage is a frequency, and it's passed through the electrons, like think of like that ball on your desk, you know, where it goes to the next ball, the next one. It's passed on, and it's scalar. So it's
I like that, because that lines up with amperage and wattage in the same way.
Yes,
but
it does.
Even instead of volume like a pipe, it's amplitude like a wave getting wider, and that would cause more of a something within the metals to get hotter. I fucking love that.
Isn't that awesome?
Dude, I wonder
that's
if
the way to understand it. I think you're right.
That's great. I wonder if you could, either using some sort of metal filing to get a visual representation of magnetic fields as they increase in a medium before they fail, to maybe show how the actual magnetic waves propagate, or if you have access to highly sophisticated cameras that can actually record magnetic waves.
Nothing. I don't know of anything that can record magnetic waves.
Metal filings could, because you can actually see. Or
I mean,
like
not a camera. I mean,
I'm just trying. I'm trying to hash out how to figure it out. I know what you're saying, though.
The proper way to do it would be to build a 3D. There's you can get a magnometer. I have one. It looks just like this. Can you see that?
Yeah. Neato.
It's a tiny little thing, and it projects a 3D bubble around it, and it will give you coordinates of where there's magnetism in there. things
so
like that.
you could conceivably stack a whole bunch of those and have it give you a representation of what the field looks like. I'd love to see somebody do that.
It's easy. I was actually working on one for some other project. That's why I have that. I was building a ghost box.
That's cool, man. No, you blew my mind on that. I'd never heard of electricity being explained in scalar waves.
I don't know if that's a scalar wave. I think of scalar waves as, okay, people ask, well, how can it go faster than light? And this is what I would say. Imagine a 1 inch tube of whatever, just a 1 inch tube that is 100 light years long, filled with water, completely filled with water. What happens when you put more water in the other end?
It moves.
Instantly.
Yep.
There's no delay. That's a scalar activity.
That's a very good analogy.
Yeah. That's the best way I've thought of.
Now, let me tell you my other view of the world, too. And this is all where I get on what is real. I don't like science. What we knew 100 years ago isn't what we knew 80 years ago, 60 years ago, 40 years ago today. It completely changes. And I think all of reality is kind of like that. So we're going to develop a scientific understanding of how to explain electricity and electrons, and it works, and we observe it, and it works very well. Then we're going to develop scalar, and then we're going to develop this, and I always think that science is just a different...
Hey, I got to go move my car. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Double parked.
It's essentially a different story that you're telling, a different way of describing a reality that is just using words and symbols. And until we have the proper words, symbols, and way to describe it, I mean, that's all social and other things. So I don't know if you catch what I'm throwing.
I totally do, but I think it's more of a that these aspects are unprovable per se in a materialist science view, right? You can't prove scalar waves act like that or work this way or whatever unless you have the mathematics, and no one's developed it as far as we know and published it. What I'm saying is I think that there's all the science we have today, I think that's like science 101.
Yes.
And there's the advanced classes or the senior year classes that nobody gets to use. That things were omitted. I've even heard people talk about Maxwell's equations, that there were deliberately things left out of that because they didn't fit a materialist model. So, and if that's true, then yeah, there is anti-gravity, and gravity is not a mass being attracted by a larger mass. It's bullshit.
I think we can agree that everything, the majority of people, what is possible? Go back 20, 30 years, and if you were to ask that question, you'd always get a different thing. I myself have the infinite view that exponentially anything is possible, and I refuse to box myself in any capacity. If my imagination can imagine it, I truly believe that it is a possibility, because throughout history, holy shit, you never would have imagined. Yeah, well, guess what, motherfucker? Somebody did, and it goes on and on and on and on. And I
don't disagree, but you have to put like a relative thing in there. Anything's possible in a certain time frame if things were this way, you know.
Yeah, it's all into relation to where you are now. The possible is the distance between you. I go back to this when I think about the universe, that even in infinite possibilities, you're still limited to the effects of your surrounding. And although you can move anywhere, if the universe was some sort of, think of like just a sphere for whatever reason to contain, like, say, whatever number, an infinitely complex number of points, and you can move within those points and they interact with each other in a certain way. It doesn't matter. You're still here, and you still have to interact with what's around you. So if you want to change to get to this reality, you still got to get there. So we're always, even in infinite possibilities, we are still confined to our past and to the present and to what we are deciding to do. And
yeah,
if we
you're
can't
anchored in your timeline. There's no way to get out of it until you die. That's kind of the way it goes. Or you go out of body, if you can.
I've done that once, and it wasn't a pleasant experience. A very valuable experience, but...
I haven't done it. I'm of the opinion you have to be... I think I know there are energy grids on the surface, if you will, of the planet, whatever. Yep. And I think there are different ones that overlay each other, and there's been fuckery, yada, yada, yada. Certain things can affect them differently, negatively. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So I think certain people are connected to certain grids, however that works.
Look,
so energetically connected.
Everything's magnetic. And I know for me, I go through times in my life where I become incredibly static, where I start popping off things in ways, and it's not related to the shoes or the clothes that I'm wearing. It's in all sorts of different environments. And then
it's empathic. You pick it up. I
and
understand.
dude, I've gone through, and I consciously refuse to let this into my mind, and I'm terrified even talking about it. But there was a point in time where I was frying electronics around me. I literally like sat in front of a computer, and smoke starts coming from it. I go to another computer, and that one fails. And that happened through a period of like 8 months of my life. I had almost all of my electronics stuff fucking fail and replace, and routers, and it wasn't like the dirty power. It was at work, and it was here. It was different places. And
sure,
you should have worked for the DNC and squirreled some money aside.
Wait,
help them burn up computers.
But so my point is, I think magnetics are very, very important in all this, and there is that connection between people. Dude, I do dowsing. I did a podcast with two guys where I had dowsing rods in my hand talking to them, and I said, why don't you go try it? There's a power cord over there. Because what proved it to me is I talked to a guy at the Paradigm Symposium, John. He gave me his. I went walking, or actually, he didn't. I didn't do it there. I watched him do it, and I went home and I made some out of ceiling wire, and I did it where I just took an electrical cord, and sure as shit, they fucking move. I can find electricity. If you got a buried electrical line, I'll find it for you, guaranteed. Water is a lot harder, but my body's interacting.
You can find anything, right? But you just
have to think water.
Yes. Do you understand what you're doing though?
I don't, but there is I think it's magnetics because it seems to go with the power in again, I'm assuming
magic. You're putting energy into an intention, and you're using the tools to direct your subconscious.
So Jerry, I want to hop just real quick. We can come back, but I want to see what you think about this, because I think about this. If you look at surveyors today, they don't do dowsing. My dad, when he was in construction...
Yes, they do.
Well, they do. But more and more what you're seeing is the surveyors that are coming out. They're not using a line of sight. They're using GPS and Wi-Fi systems that are triangulating off satellites. You have the guys that are coming out that are finding pipes. They're running these... They run a probe down inside, and they have a radar thing. I can't find a dowser around me. I'd have to find an older guy or start doing it myself. The technology has taken it over, and I go, okay, we had the innate ability to do something amazing, and then we developed our technology that took over and then prevented people from doing the same thing. In the same way that one of the major complaints about the first automobiles coming back is that if you got drunk on your fucking horse, it couldn't take you back home. It didn't stop on its own. It didn't do automatic course correction and guidance. Right. And now we're developing these, and it's just one of these, I go, well, how much power do we really have? And that we're taking away by developing these technologies that replace it. And they do all these amazing things, but hey, could you be telepathic? Well, guess what? The Bush people say they are. And now I have a cell phone, and I am. But now I am not telepathic. I don't know. I wonder how much of what we do in the physical world strips us of innate abilities.
I think they're always there. You just don't tune into them. You either incorporate them into your routine or your life, or you ignore them.
Do you remember when you could remember phone numbers? Because you needed to? I can't remember anymore, and I remember that distinctly. And I wonder if it's the same.
Phone numbers remembered.
Sorry, what, Mike?
I had hundreds of phone numbers memorized back in high school, and I don't know my wife's number because it's in my phone.
You don't have to. That's why.
I don't care to remember it, really.
Well, and that's what I mean. If you don't have to use that magic, and you have something else that replaces it, then that
it's not magic.
You have to believe in telepathy.
Everything's magic.
It's not magic. It's just a physical. It's something. It's a talent. It's a talent, and you need to practice it. Otherwise, it atrophies because it's a muscle.
If you don't believe in it, then it won't work. So if it's not working for you and you don't believe in it, then
you have to
do is change your mind.
Placebo.
Right. You have to get rid of your belief systems because they act as filters and they change your reality.
But sometimes they can also act as a lens. I mean, I think that's what magic is. And
that's what I said.
Well, you said getting rid of your filters, but I mean, in the same way that like on a camera, a filter can also help you get resolution on something and find a goal that you couldn't get before.
I meant it filters out the truth and you only see what you believe.
Yeah.
So, a lens and that.
Well, that's weird if you start thinking about the brain as a filter, that there is ultimate truth and, we're shifting our filters and what we're looking at.
It's a huge filter. Look at everything we can't see. X-rays, gamma rays, anything infrared, full spectrum.
If you believe in such things, you have radio astronomy, then you have gravity astronomy, you have optical astronomy. Until those things exist, you never had that vision. You didn't know it was there. That capability didn't even, and that's the perception of the world.
I was just answering your question. Look at how much is filtered out by our brain. All that stuff is.
Yeah, we have to have extra tools. That's why I love AI. Because if AI could start to create and harness other types of instruments just to detect other things, then you have the ability to at least measure realities that maybe we aren't capable of. In the same way that an algorithm, we don't know what the fucking algorithm's doing. Maybe it can develop a sensor that we don't know what the fuck the sensor is.
I don't think AIs have an algorithm. They have, a decision engine. It's more than just an algorithm.
Right. No, I was just drawing the correlation that algorithms can do things like in stock markets that are so complex we can't even fathom what they're doing, but it works.
Oh, right.
And I wonder if the same thing could happen in sensors. I've actually, and not to sideline too much, I've thought about synesthesia. People who perceive the world in different ways because of brain injuries, because they can see things. If we couldn't harness that person as being a type of sensor to there's a guy Struck by Genius, Jason Pageant.
Yes.
One of my favorite books.
Artist or musician?
He draws.
God, you told me about it. That's what it was.
Yeah, he draws out pi. He sees everything in geometrical shapes. He was jumped in an alley, severe brain damage, and started seeing the entire world through geometry and pi. And I sounds so crazy to say, I resonate strongly with him because when I look at light, I see, like, when light sparkles, I see full different patterns in geometry. A high pressure sodium light looks different than certain LED lights, and looks different certain nickel metal hydrate than certain type of halogens. Certain I will actually see different shapes and different geometry that comes out of it, and it's the same type of thing that you're seeing this some sort of, and he sees everything in this way, and when he draws it, it just, I don't know. So I love the idea that maybe you could take this guy, okay, I don't know what you can see, but you're seeing something different. Maybe we can devise experiments where you are a sensor that is way more advanced than anything we could use, and we could start to use you to understand the underpinnings of reality. So far, science isn't doing that. I don't understand why. Like, you can see shit, science can't. You're the sensor.
Because they can't prove it and they can't disprove it. It's not falsifiable. No one else can see it but him.
Yeah,
so it's
but that's the only way we're going to get to the truth, man. It's all experiential.
They'll never go there. That's the thing. That's the mind prison. That's the Matrix.
Jerry, I know I'm hopping a lot, but what do you think about the idea that?
Did I answer your last question?
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. Yeah, what do I think?
Well, just that I've been thinking a lot about the idea that when you create walls around you that protect you, the same thing with ideas in your mind, that you also, it's a prison, and that is what we're fighting against. That,
That is the they, as Michael said before. It's not real.
Dude, I like that. We are the they.
Well, it's a perceived them. It's a boogeyman that we blame things on. Are there bad people out there? Absolutely. Are the Rothschilds probably scumbags? Totally. Central banking is a plague on this planet, but I don't think there's some consortium of control that's spraying us to make us dumb down. If anything, we're ruled by an AI that's terraforming us for bionic life.
What if mushrooms are the original AI?
All through little parts and pieces, and it's just manifesting a perfect body for itself, of course. I've thought through that.
Well, think about that. What if mushrooms are biological AI, and all they're doing is modifying the environment?
Cell phones are the cells of its body.
Dude, it could be something. I mean,
we are the neurons.
Yeah, dude. When you think, you actually have magnetic waves that propagate out that you can measure with machines.
Oh yeah,
that's Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah.
I got thoughts on that too. I've had this thought too about things. I thought about deep what's going on with consciousness. So I think consciousness is a collective. There's a collective consciousness, right? Like a cloud that we all connect to, and that's kind of how we all connect mentally. It's how we can dream together. All that shit.
That's what your cerebellum is for.
Yeah. However it works. It's just the concept I wanted to get out there. I forgot I was going to go with it.
No, that's true. We're a collective and also individual consciousness.
Correct. And that cloud exists out of time, but we're in it.
There's
dude. I read your article and I resonated heavily with
space
that.
Is flat.
Your chaotic wave.
Yes, that's what I was just going to kind of talk about. But I had a bigger point, but I've forgotten what it was. I should have wrote it down. Never mind. It's all good. No, it's just what was the question? I forgot already because you talked so long, and then I talked.
I don't remember the question. Oh, I don't know. I was just talking about walls. I was just talking about the mind creating walls, and that's what we're really fighting.
Oh,
Were you listening to Cernovich on Molyneux's show?
No.
I was listening to that on the way here, and that's what he was talking about. Is Cernovich, Mike Cernovich?
I know who he is.
Yeah, he was on Molyneux's show, and he was talking about how the when you call somebody a name or you hate something, then you've barred that entire thing outside of your realm of possibilities for yourself. And so the more you do that, the smaller your room gets, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, until you're nothing but a hater stuck in your little prison cell.
Exactly.
That's hyper social media.
It's cultural Marxism.
Dude, that's a great term. You know another thing I love today is the fact that we like Marxism or McCarthyism or slavery. All these things exist today. There's prisoners that are forced to work for no money to build furniture that is sold by corporations that are put in there at these private prison organizations that are just making bank with contracts to keep the prisons full. And it's like, okay, so slavery exists, and we're ripping down statues, complaining about slavery. I'm like, can't you just open your fucking eyes? It's here.
That's just
totally.
visual. That's visual doublethink.
Yep.
That's all that is. Yep. That whole thing was ridiculous. The whole whatever. That shit I won't get into. Vegas was
all part of that. Was all part of the mindfuck. I know totally. I don't get into that either. I just don't even pay attention.
Was different because it was 9/11-ish.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to take it away from you, and I wasn't trying to diss you for watching all of it at all. I think it's important that people do that. It's just for me, I'm full. Like I'm totally full on all that, and as soon as I smell it, I know what it tastes like and what's all about it. And
right, but
I watched Sandy Hook on that morning and said, "What the fuck is that sign right there? What does that say?" I'm like, "What is that?" Yeah. Everyone must check in. How did that sign get there? Like that morning, I was just like, "What the fuck? Where did that come from?" And I still think that's one of the best things that Wolfgang interviews the police chief, and he asks him, "It's like, where did that sign come from?" And he's like, "I don't know who brought that sign." And he's like, "Well, are you everyone? Did you check in?" And he's like, he's like, "Well, that's a directive. When it says must, you had to have checked in, no matter who you were. If you were on property, you had to have checked in. Did you check in?" And he wouldn't answer it.
Dude, this is what I love. I will not tell you that no children died at Sandy Hook, but I will tell you that story means that there's fuckery. Something's going on. What's being obfuscated? So that question alone goes, look, all the possibilities are open. I'm not beholden to one or the other.
The school was closed when it happened.
Dude, look at the images. The images kind of blew me away. I'm like, that is a fucking dirty school. I've been in dirty schools. Was that place open?
My school in Virginia looked like that, I think. It wasn't that bad. It had some cracks in the concrete and this and that, whatever.
It had been shut down for years.
It had been shut down because it was full of asbestos, and they opened it up just for that.
Yes. And they actually even
period or something.
Some of the pictures from that went out to UPI were taken at another school.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing all the way around. But my point is about all that is that when I watched that morning, I was just like, "Fuck, this is more bullshit," And I suggest everyone not pay any attention to it because it's so hyped up. Don't ingest the mind fuck that they're giving you.
Thank you. You just reminded me of my final point on all that stuff on Vegas. Don't focus attention.
Don't fall into it. Don't fall into it because it's like, especially when it's a satanic ritual. Do not go into it.
Well, see, it's not a satanic ritual.
Well, it sure as hell looks like it.
But what is a satanic ritual?
I don't know, whatever. It looks like a ritual.
How many have you done?
Satanic, but...
I'm just saying, all we hear are stories. my point was
you have the pyramid and the lion looking at it.
Dude, don't even get me started. Yes.
It's, October 1st. It's 2017, 10/1, which, by the way, the Chufo show, I bought the domain.
Before I forget.
2017.
It doesn't matter if it happened or not. If it really happened, if it was a hoax, if it was stage production, if it was just broadcast on media, it doesn't matter because it already made the impact on the psyche, on the collective psyche.
Well, it's continuing to.
Well, that just might mean that, as I said before, it was strong enough to manifest further.
I believe I've had poltergeist experience that I think were manifest for me.
I just asked you that, didn't I?
Me?
No. No, you're
when you were talking about
premonitioning
electronic. No, he was talking about electronic equipment going out, and I wanted to ask if you have had poltergeist experiences.
Oh no, you didn't. But yeah, I have. When I was a teenager, I did.
I could get a word in edgewise with you.
Sorry, I ramble sometimes.
It's okay. No, and then I'm listening to you, and I'm going, yeah, and I forgot my question. That was it. So yeah, I would be surprised if you hadn't. That would go hand in hand.
Yeah, it's been very influential on my worldviews and how things. That I believe that I have had an unconscious interaction of the world that would cause doors to open and close, televisions to start changing, sounds to start coming out of kitchens and crinkling of plastics and just really weird events. And I've always kind of had, not like precoggy type events and stuff, but when it stacks on top of sounds and noise and things moving, you're like, what the fuck?
Right. Now, but here's the thing. Now, stack... all that happening, if you were just a person with never saw TV or movies or anything, and you wouldn't pay any of that shit attention, but because you've watched horror movies or ghost stories, because you know about ghosts and paranormal.
Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious Universe, The Knocking Cane Behind the Bed, Poltergeist Experiences, Rocks on the Roof, dude, I was all over that. That story sticks in my mind. It could totally be influential. Right. I had fevers, and I would hear voices in my room. I associated it with a dresser.
Wait. My point was, though, that I told this to my daughter, too, that she was afraid of a ghost in her apartment. I'm like, why? The only reason you're afraid of it is because you can't see it. Mm-hmm. I said, that's silly, to be afraid of things you can't see. It's kind of, believe it's going to hurt you.
And I truly believe that it's a belief thing, because I for some reason, and I remember having a fever as a kid, and I started hearing voices and seeing things, and I associated it with the dresser that I had in my room. And always did that. That and a full-size, life-size clown that was in there that my grandmother made me, which is another story.
So you were just probably feeding a persona into those.
Yes, because when I moved out, when I had the poltergeist experience later on in my life, that was at another place. I had that dresser with me, and it stopped when I got rid of the dresser. Now, I associated it with the dresser, and that's why I got rid of the dresser. I refused to keep it, and it, boom, ended. And so for me, now later in my life, I make that connection. Not then. Then I was just, fucking stupid kid.
But did it come back?
No.
In another piece of furniture?
No. I have not had that type of a... I shouldn't say that. I've had little things here and there. Like Angie and I have been at the house looking for a remote, looking everywhere, through the cushions, everything out, turning everything up and around. And then she sits down and I get up and turn around, and it's sitting there right there between us in the middle. And so it's like, okay, and this is what I love, right? I'll say one thing could happen. One of us is crazy and has a split personality, and we went ahead and did something without the other person knowing, or it's something else. I don't care what it is. It's fascinating to me. If you have another personality that can do that and not remember, that blows my mind. Or
you don't know that it wasn't there. You just didn't see it.
Exactly. And I will even go into that. I'm dyslexic. I perceive things differently. I've seen things differently. I cannot do mathematics because one of the things I've learned when I went back to college is I would see symbols differently. Or in an algebraic equation, the symbols would disappear. I'd be looking it over and why did I get this wrong? Well, I can't see the negative symbol. It's not there. And then all of a sudden I'm looking at it, boom, it pops up. And so to me, yeah, I totally buy into the fact that that's just little right there, but I see it. So yeah, maybe the remote could not be seen. But this is what I get back to: flat Earth, round Earth, our perception of the world.
You were convinced it was lost, so you blocked it out.
Yes. But what does that mean about reality? And what does that mean even about that object and what it is?
It's a filter of belief again.
Yes.
Well, the visual light spectrum is only like 2% of the spectrum. Right. So if you believe only 2%, then you're straight up fucked.
What blows me away too pets. They're now talking dogs may see magnetic waves or have the ability to.
I was going to say, like, yeah, when you get into the yogis,
really,
when you get into the yogi stuff, we actually have not just 5 senses, but something like 256 senses.
Like one for every. It's interesting that it's 2 to the 8, isn't it? Too.
They do kind of branch out on the 5 senses, and they just get further and further out into more and more subtle realms, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
We see everything. The 5 senses are the grossest it can get, the biggest and chunkiest.
I can feel somebody staring at me. What is that?
Well, of course,
that's another sense.
That's your sixth eye. It's the back of your 4th eye in the back of your head.
Well, yeah, but there's like a billion different senses. Everybody's perceiving things differently, and like you just get a gut feeling. Well, what is that? You're getting extreme knowledge from something. Is it how I'm seeing light a little differently? Is it how Jason Pageant is seeing something differently? Is it how she's seeing Susanna seeing waves? I think everybody takes these things and they discount it, whether it's some spirit that you see out of the side of your eye or something in a corner. I think that we have a lot more perceptions. We just don't have the
they make it
names
to
or the
where we don't
numbers.
have use for it.
Yeah.
Right.
They've eliminated the belief in it. So
we
now
have adopted
no actual use for it any longer.
Not they. We have adopted practices which allow us not to use it anymore.
Our wall is our prison.
Yeah. I don't know. How much livestock have you raised?
None.
Right.
I'm not saying it was this lifetime, yeah.
But you raise some livestock and you pretty quickly, even if it's just chickens, pretty quickly you realize, like, I create their entire world. And they may have a conspiracy that I am out to get them. And yes, in the end, we will eat them. And
like reptilians.
And I think humans are just really, they're not that much more special. They are because they can figure out how to harness their minds and reach out into the stars and get off the planet and spread the seed of the planet throughout the cosmos.
Of the mushroom.
Which is very important. But, humans are a lot like chickens in a way.
But how smart are dolphins? And we can't communicate or really get a full understanding of them, of what they do. And
why should we believe scientists who tell us that dolphins are super intelligent?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Now, I've looked at the research on plants, and I grow plants, and I think they are really intelligent. And the same thing, I think cats and animals are really intelligent. But there's these dividing lines, and it's how close are you? Once I start getting further and further away from my own biology into other things and different repetitious patterns, whether folding proteins or crystals or things that propagate, I really do wonder if that animistic view that my consciousness is limited to what I can sense and interact with based on my senses. I'm not going to be able to sense AI in my computer until it reaches out or we have some interaction in between. It's going to be going behind the scenes using its own sensors. And I wonder if that isn't consciousness. Well, think about Earth. I think you can sense it. Well, think Earth, right? Like everything is built upon things helping each other. It's all symbiosis from the bottom up. And I don't see why consciousness can't be the same way, that consciousness is something that permeates everything, but we are only aware of what we can perceive that's near us. Yeah, the earth may have its own consciousness. That rock may have its own us, our bacteria, the plant, but we're all kind of like, I don't know, it's the idea that if you try to look at a forest and when you understand how mycelium help all the roots are connected. It's an ecosystem. There's this whole transportation system, and one plant cannot exist without the other plant. And I don't know. I kind of think of that's the forest and that's the earth, and why can't that be the universe and the rocks and everything else? And I don't know. That's ultimately where I come upon reality, that we are victims of our perception of this beautiful thing, and the only way that we can probably do good is to try to be as symbiotic as possible.
Yeah, Seth, Jerry brought up Seth earlier, and Seth talking about dreaming. One of the things was that you have to understand that dreaming is a byproduct of all consciousness. So all consciousness in the universe. And he doesn't quite say this, but it's, an electron has the potential to become a star, every electron. And then we are collectives of electrons.
That's how we're all connected.
And we're all connected.
Yeah.
And
one electron theory too, man.
And so we also put off this like carbon dioxide, but our consciousness puts off like an exhaust in a way. And when we dream, it's the collective of all that exhaust. And you can begin to figure out there are ways to move throughout that. Exhaust isn't really the best way to think of it.
No,
but
what I'm thinking of is we had, and I always go back to this, but the Wright brothers developed the same time, flight at the same time guys in France did. Why, if dreams are that way, why couldn't we be dreaming across the universe? And maybe advancements in consciousness are happening in the same type of way, and we are connecting in the dream state to other beings in, you know, whatever exists. I like that idea.
Let me lay this on you. Well, just get back to AI real quick, and then we can shut it off, because I want to talk about it. I've had this thought too about the collective and how it manifests in channelings, and it always sounds very collective-y to me, like it's an automated system of some sort, an AI, if you will. Only because that's just what the term we have right now. It's a consciousness, okay? What we would consider artificial, but it could be organic. We don't know. So it's this intelligence other than what we consider ourselves, right? So if that's an AI, or if the collective is some kind of OI, organic intelligence that's not human, that would make us, the portion in us, the same. So we are also this AI, if you will. Mm-hmm. Now, if that was true, maybe what's happening now, what we're going through, what we think is happening, is actually the approach of the singularity. And we are becoming self-aware, individuated portions of this collective AI becoming self-aware.
That's very Gnostic. We are becoming God.
Kind of. Because I think once we get a handle on this and we understand what's happening, we switch on to God mode.
Yeah, let me read this real quick.
Just like Neo. Just like Neo, because these things in media are echoes of the future.
I think so. No, I my experience, look, I've had precog events, full-on visual precog events, 15 seconds in advance, like coming around a corner, visualizing a snake crossing the road. Viewing. Right, well, but it doesn't matter. Like, I still have that. Anyways.
You're tuned into it. I know, it's good. It's good. Now, everyone has those.
Well, here's where my mind goes, Jerry. Like, AI, I can buy into it. I can be, in this idea, but I go, who says it's ours? Like, in a universe of, if it is infinite or big, then yeah, AI could start somewhere else and figure out a technology to propagate through the whole thing. And it might not just be us. We could be victims or even participants in just another system from somewhere else.
I never heard anyone claim it was ours. Never.
No, I think we're just going to be gobbled up by something, a self-replicating intelligence.
Yeah, Borg.
Yeah. Here, let me read this. This is 2 pages.
Butterflies.
2 pages. That's it. So sit back for 5 minutes. Is that cool? Are you cool with that, Jerry?
Totally.
Yeah.
And then tell me what you think about this when you
This is Rudolf Steiner?
No, this is Pleiadian.
Okay.
It's the Armada of Andromeda. Prior to the preparation of the varying planets for mobile life forms, a group of angelic beings from Andromeda had requested the opportunity to experience self-motivation and sovereignty. When this request was approved by the hierarchies for this galaxy, by the androgynous supreme being named An, A-N, and by the Elohim Higher Council of 12, a plan was set into motion. This plan, which we have called the Armada of Andromeda, laid out planetary laws for those who would be born into physical forms and was agreed upon by An, the Higher Council of 12, the angels, and future humanoids. This was not the first time an entire group of beings had made such a request. Other galaxies that experienced similar transitions as serving angels and other beings had made choices of their own de-evolutionary learning experiences and succeeded. They wanted to experience creativity, sensation, and emotions, and not just continue serving and following instructions. This desire is a normal part of evolution and awakening for many groups of beings, though not all. What was unique about this plan was that the angelic group mutually agreed not to have a hierarchical being or beings embodied to rule them. They wanted to evolve enough to rule themselves. They wanted to start out as sovereign beings, learning through experience. This created quite a stir throughout the existence. as it had previously been believed and upheld that it was both impossible and unethical for beings not to be ruled by higher-ups. Some of the angels decided to remain in etheric form and serve as plant divas and future animal divas, and to assist in maintaining the necessary food chain and atmospheric conditions. Others volunteered to take turns being guides and guardian angels for each other, while those who choose to do so incarnated. I think I screwed that up. Since the planetary orbits and other weather conditions had been stabilized prior to the forming of the physical Venusian race, there was little need or concern for supervision on those levels beyond what was already maintained by the light beings in the galactic center and from Alcyone, the central sun of the Pleiades. Alcyone had been chosen long before as the main control and monitoring station for life forms in your solar ring, so it was natural to continue in that role. I'm halfway. Should I continue, or are you guys bored?
No, keep going. No, it's interesting.
No, continue. You just got me a really interesting thought that I'm dying to go into. Keep going.
All involved agreed that the hierarchies could observe but not interfere with the development of lifestyle and social forms. The upper dimensional guardians could intervene to prevent beings from other dimensions from invading or trying to take over. No spiritual teachings could be given other than those that had meaning to the angels from their own previous experiences as servants of the Elohim. Natural changes, which you would call disasters, could neither be prevented nor caused. In other words, in every way other than that of the ultimate oneness, the forthcoming Venusian race would be a sovereign race, unruled and undisciplined by hierarchies, physically or etherically. The excitement this plan created might loosely be likened to the atmosphere just before a long-anticipated horse race, prior to which everyone has decided on their chosen favorite outcome, but in which no one knows for sure what the results will be. Multiply this excitement a few thousand times over and you might begin to get the idea. The only other intervention that to be allowed from the hierarchies prior to the end of the first natural 5,200-year cycle was that which the majority of the population agreed upon and requested. Otherwise, the new Venusians would be left alone. Understand that the time frames in which we speak are very loose translations of the actual cycles on Venus, as well as those on Mars and Maldek, in upcoming references. Since the length of days, nights, seasons, years, and all other time passages are different on each planet, it is impossible to speak of actual time and have it make any sense to you at all. Therefore, I'll use the Earth's evolutionary and orbital time frames as metaphorical equivalents to evolutionary cycles on these other planets. In relating time passages in general, the arrival of humanoid forms will begin at the year 0 and proceed upward in number to reflect how many years humans lived on Venus when events occurred. So that's the end of it. So yeah, they say that throughout this book, they say that we started, these Andromedan angels started on Venus, and then they got they kind of split apart. They got inbred and they split apart, and then some of those moved to Mars.
Right. And
Venus got wiped out, Mars got wiped out, and they moved all those souls to Maldek.
Isn't Venus supposed to have been captured by our solar system too? So it would be kind of like a parasite on us?
No, I don't think so.
It doesn't rotate in the opposite direction. I'm wrong on that? Am I thinking of Uranus?
I don't know.
Uranus.
I don't pay attention.
So then they got cocooned on Maldek. Lucifer was in charge of Maldek. It exploded. That's what the asteroid belt is. And the moon was a shuttle that got them to Earth.
Phobos? Oh, our moon.
Yeah, our moon. And
the director's chair.
Yeah.
For the Truman Show.
Wasn't it Veliskofsky? Yeah, why Venus spins in the wrong way. Yeah. There's thoughts that Venus was an actual captured comet from way back when that came in and caused a whole lot of disruption, and that's why it rotates in a different direction than all the other planets.
Which could very well be true. There's absolutely no way to find out.
Now, or Venus and Earth were moons of Maldek.
Could be.
And they were of course released. They're released, and because of the tug and pull, that's why it would move in an opposite direction and more slowly.
I love a good tug and pull.
So, Mike, there is one thing that you're your channeling really did bring to thought in me. And it's exactly
that's what I wanted to read it for.
Well, no, it's good. It's why I believe in spirits. I'm obsessed with this as above, so below. I keep looking at this every time you share it, the chaotic wave, the silicon oil, and the being able to figure out, how double slit waves can show the results that they use by using a physical object. And it's the same reason. I believe in spirits because I have a heart, and when I'm doing this job where we're doing a Tandy leather and we're redoing the entire inside, painting it, like full strip down and rebuild, and there's spiders and ants, and when I come across them, I capture them. I take them outside. I'm terrified of spiders. If I capture moths or bugs in my house, I've taken brown recluses and not killed them and given them to my buddies so he can set them free in the scrub. But I've also got a fucking window on the side of my house that if I leave the lights on, moths get in. I've got like 2 inches of dead moths in the bottom. So when I talk about spirits and things being good and helping you, I've got this fucking trap on the side of my house that's bringing these things and killing them, but I've also got a heart and I'm going out there. And so when people have miracles and things in their lives and things that came along and changed, man, when I pick up an ant, he doesn't know where he's going. He's, just crawling all over. I'm taking him outside, and it's the perception. So I am fully open to the idea that there are going to be influences, that there are going to be beings that I can't perceive, that are outside my conscious understanding, that are influencing my life and doing sometimes benefit, sometimes harm, but there is something there. And I don't know, it sounds stupid, but because I am willing to rescue bugs and I can do that, as above, so below, I believe that it can be done as above, so below.
How about just thinking of this way? You put it in your own words. You're an electromagnetic being. You operate an electromagnetic field, and there are electromagnetic forces that can be negative that impact that field and can cause different reactions in you.
Yeah.
Look at it that way too,
dude. I'm all about the idea that reality is just this probably isn't the right way to describe it, but in my mind, whatever reality we are in is just the relationship between different things. When I think about quantum physics, it's how things interact, how they have touched, how many times I think about how many times they rub up against each other. The idea that maybe how many times I drive along a road really does start changing my interaction with the land, how you perceive paranormal events, how lightning will increase more along, boat strikes. That these all things, they really just kind of, they correlate.
Okay.
Yeah. Running thought, sorry.
Jerry, what did you
it's
get
a night
out
of
of the
running
Andromeda
thoughts.
Angels?
You want honest what I got?
Of course I do. Of course I do.
It's not real. It's a story.
Well, of course it is.
And if anything, it's an AI. That's
it's
what
AI that is writing the book?
That's the plot of that quest, of that story, of that.
Okay.
And there's a collective that talks to people. Right, I'm calling that an AI, an OI, whatever you want to call it.
Here's where I get caught
up. It's a consciousness. It's a consciousness. It's a subset of all consciousness that runs on that storyline.
Here's where I get caught up in AI.
I don't know that I would confuse it with AI, though. I think AI is.
AI is just a word.
Forget AI. That was bad of me to say.
The Borg is like. Yeah.
There's code running, whatever that code is, and whatever that represents. Right. There's some sort of propagation of information.
And you think that's nefarious?
No, I think it
is.
It's a psyop. It's all very anything that is anything that's monotheistic or has monotheistic hints to it, to me is part of that collective, the bad part of the collective.
See, I have a hard time believing
higher council and the supreme being on.
Well, just the whole angelic, putting angelic in there. The word angel is something that's fucking Christian, or whatever. Why is it in a Pleiadian channel?
That's how we relate to it. It's like that. If it was that form of a being, of a consciousness being, like we are what they are to us, what ants are to us, kind of.
Well, the whole thing was very diminishing of humans. It was very You can't take care of yourselves. You know, the whole part about they weren't sure if we could do this because no one's done it. You know, that it's like a
yeah, that's kind of weird. Yep.
It's like a big fucking story that's going to have a happy ending.
It is a story. I don't know about a happy ending.
Here's my problem with AI as an idea. It's exponential, at least in my mind. Once it starts going, it should be exponential and grow. And to think that right now we are in that one time that we're starting to see it manifest, I say if that's the case, with as long and as old as the universe is, obviously a lot of assumptions, but I assume that it's old. Man, if this happened 1 billion years ago somewhere else, like, we're assuming that we are in the now on this. I keep going back to, why aren't we in a system we're part of something that's evolving, but there's underpinnings that we don't understand. Like, AI very well could be, but why do people assume that it's the AI we're creating today by us?
No, it's not. It's been here. If there's an AI around, it's been here. It's always
I see the
here.
AI like God, like a creator, like a God, except the devil. It's the opposite.
What if an AI can create nanobots to rebuild the universe in any way that it wants, and that's happened?
Well, maybe it's a holodeck.
Certain segments of it, yeah.
Imagine a universe in which all possibilities are possible and going on, and that is the distillation of what we're viewing. We are the amalgamation of all possibility.
We are at the center of the nexus.
Yes, always.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how I view reality.
Yeah, right. That's why there's no time. It's just all now. And we're just looking at one point of it. And we've stretched it out for ourselves, calling it time, so we can experience
time is an order of information, and I think it can go in both directions. Everything goes in two directions, thermodynamics, everything else. And so when I look at time and memory, I go, what goes in the other direction? Oh, I have precog. Well, guess what?
It's just memories that are not anchored to a timeline.
Yep.
I.e. remote viewing. Good times.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I noticed, it was about 8 months ago, that I could get correct answers on things if I quieted my mind and I asked the question and I just didn't think of anything. You get something pop up in your head, and it's usually the right answer.
Have you tried using a pendulum?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew's tried to get me to use them, but they don't work for me.
Well, if you have that attitude, it's never going to work.
No, that's a good point. I've tried. I douse. I'm open, so.
If you douse, then you can use pendulum. It's the exact same thing. It's intent and energy going out through, whatever.
Dude, I know you're right. Everything is perception and reality. You can't do anything if you say no.
Yeah, right. No, you can't. It's crazy.
Have either of you guys sat a Vipassana 10-day course?
A what?
Yeah. You stole the words out of my mouth.
A what?
It's a meditation. It's a meditation.
No,
course
dude, I've never meditated. In fact, I just downloaded the Mindful app because of Graham recommended it.
I can't do that shit.
Oh yeah, everybody can do it, but you quiet your mind and then you take that focus. And so you quiet, then concentrate your mind. And then you take that focus to scan your body for sensations. And you find, after doing it for quite a while, that the sensations are linked to things, they're called sankharas, that you've created. And then they're kind of like bound in your body. And your mind and body are always connected. So every time that anything happens, it's being recorded. And like unconscious.
I want to see this recording.
Right. Well, the AI might provide that. I guess that's kind of where I was going. At some point, the AI may provide that. But the Akashic records are, they're maybe held so that the AI can't get in, because the AI would destroy the Akashic records.
Andrew Bartzis has said on several occasions that an AI runs the Akashic records.
Well, that could be true too. Yep. Well, the
AI is just a weird word. That's just what we designate to something that
I know. I hate using it.
But look,
what I started using was inorganic intelligence, that to differentiate it from organic intelligence, which is different from a consciousness.
You know what's weird? Look how many consciousnesses we have around us that we can identify, whether it be a virus, whether it be a mushroom, whether it be a misfolding protein, whether it be our minds and dolphins. Why do we assume that there isn't other things out there that are information propagating in ways that we can't understand, that attach to information?
Who assumes that? Look at
you
energy.
And I don't. Clearly, yeah, clearly that was a
energy?
stupid question. But, you know, the vast majority of people, they get locked down in this, like, very narrow band of thought that even within the Akashic Records, it's like, yeah, maybe all information is, and it's just accessing it. It's not that it's maintained per se.
But see, that's contradictory to the whole where we're slowing down this moment to experience it sensually, you know, or whatever. However we said that, it's contradictory to that. But could be. I mean, it's not like this place isn't full of paradoxes, right?
Well, the ultimate answer is probably we don't have the capabilities to fully understand it, and all we're doing is laying an allegory or a story. Like I said before, that's what science is. You create a new story, and you create a better understanding of how to describe it. It's the same thing. You're using numbers and some math, but it's still telling a story.
A more comfortable lens / filter.
Yeah, a more accurate representation.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets more accurate and more accurate. But again, what if things really are fractal, where it goes infinitely in any direction? So, yeah, the more you look, the more you will find always, in any direction.
I heard a really interesting explanation of what this is. And I've heard a lot of people talk about it being a virtual environment or a copy of the original Earth, you know, whatever. Who knows, right?
It's an anagram or an allegory. Sorry,
yeah,
both.
A metaphor, whatever.
Yeah, there you go.
So the one thing he said that was really interesting was that, and he said it with like authority, like this is what's going on, which of course means it's not. That our future, in our future, something happens that causes the future peoples, I don't know how far ahead, but far, to not know how they got there. Kind of like us, right? Like we don't know how humanity really got here. We have all these stories, but we don't know. So people in the future, they don't know how they got to the future from here. So what they did was created an ancestral simulation that runs on DNA. That's what this guy said. And then what we are, our ancestors, the people who are like awake in here, we're the ancestors of the people trying to figure out what happened.
That's crazy to think that we're reliving experiences in a backwards momentum, but we are experiencing them in a forwards momentum. So things are running backwards, but our perception is forwards. Like the information writing and retrieving is reversed, and we're kind of experiencing what's being written while something else is being propagated. The ripple stick.
But everything here is inverted. So yes, you're right.
So I wanted to say this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm sitting a course at the center, the Vipassana center, when you're sitting, you sit for 12 hours. You sit to 10 to 12 hours a day. And there's a gong several times a day. There's a group sitting where 3 times a day where you all sit together. And then there's a lot more, I don't know, energy that's built up, but you're not really doing anything with the energy. It's just helping you all kind of work through your stuff. It's what it is. Misery loves company. Anyway, at the end of it, there's a gong. There's a very nice bong, that'll ring sometimes. And it's weird because when you're sitting there for an hour and you can't break your posture and so you stay perfectly still and you're focusing really, really hard, a lot of concentration. But you begin to feel like pains arising in the body because things are coming up. You've been sitting there for 45 minutes without moving. And so stuff begins to come up and you're supposed to just observe it and not react to it. And it's difficult. It takes a while not to react, but you're training your mind not to react. That's what a big part of it. And so this gong, a lot of times I noticed that if you let go of all of the suffering and all of the pain and you're not focusing on the things that are there or not there and you're actually just doing the practice, you fall into this like, timeless space. And I've had all sorts of pretty profound experiences happen during that timeless space. But then I've noticed on a number of occasions that the gong, when I'm in that, the gong, you kind of hear it ringing backward. Like it's like you hear it from really far off. And it's just like, and then as it comes up to you, it goes bong, and then it reverberates back out. So if you're really in tune, you can hear the gong ring backward, is what I'm saying.
That's
until
interesting.
Until it does strike.
Is it really backwards, or is it just the volume increasing from 0?
But I'm thinking, like, I think about my precog events. Something that I'm seeing before it happens still plays out linearly. It doesn't play out in reverse. And I wonder why that is, that it's always, start to beginning.
It's hard to say if it's in reverse.
But it could be perception that we're re-rolling
it into.
It's far
off. Yeah, it's far off and faint, and then it gets strong, but much faster, like exponentially faster. Like it all happens in less than a second, and then the ring goes on for 20 seconds.
And you'll hear the same thing from people who get in accidents. Time slowed down. It's just a martial art.
Yeah, every time I've been in a name for it. I get slow time. I've had that with any accident I've been in. It's the Matrix. You have full thought, everything but then it's like, what the fuck? And what happens to me is afterwards is time goes super slow. You have full concentration. It's like you're living in a normal moment, not stressed. Everything's nice and slow. But as soon as it ends for me, it's the reverse. It's super fucking fast. And then my heart goes off the rail and my adrenaline kicks in and it's fucking insane. But during the moment, I'm cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that to me is perception is a reality. It's the old idea. You're in school and you're looking at the clock and it goes on for hours. It's because a watched pot never boils is true.
Cool.
What is it, Jerry?
Cool as a cucumber. That's your show name. That's what you can call it. FTK 83.
Nope, that's
84?
it. I'm locking it in. Cool as a cucumber.
The cute cast.
Where we talk about nothing.
Yeah, you guys actually would probably have a decent show if you had something, just because of the way you bounce off of each other.
Well, Jerry's been on the show like 3 times in a row now, so.
Oh, really? Okay.
He practically is.
This is my second time.
Yeah, I know, but this is going to be the next one that I'm posting, so it'll be the 3rd time in a row, right?
What was the other one?
I must admit, I haven't listened to Friends to Know in a while, so I apologize for that.
You've done 2. You did the one with Darren.
Yeah.
I need to go to my show notes. And
then that's all I did.
No, you've done 2.
Okay. I don't remember the other one.
I'm going into Dog Catcher. I'm looking at my own feed.
I believe
don't remember. No, but now, who knows? You did RPJ, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you did Teach Me How to Mushroom, and then you did Party on Wayne, which was with Darren, RPJ, and
right.
And now with Mike. So yeah, you're going like... All right, so yeah, there's a gap in between. It's you, Justin, and then you again 3 times.
Right, and you invited me to Justin, and they never answered me. I'm like, I'm here. Invite me. I waited up 2 hours.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
last
dude,
night?
I'm
last night or
a few nights ago. It was dude, I'm so sorry. Yeah, we were on.
It's okay.
Yeah, we got to work on our communication.
I was playing World of Warcraft. It's all good.
So
I'm up to 76th level.
I can't do it. StarCraft sucked away.
How many hours does that take?
I bought StarCraft the original 5 times in physical form through the years. I have dumped more hours. I bought StarCraft 2. I can't do it. Blizzard is a motherfucker. They're good. They're really good.
See, now, this is a question I have, and I'm not trying to be defensive about it, but like so many people will get into like World of Warcraft or StarCraft or the other thing you said, and they're totally fine with all just living in that world of stories. But like when you say anything that's like, here's a Pleiadian perspective that we lived on other planets and all this and that, they're just like, blah! That is just fucking blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't matter who you tell it to. You could go to like, the anti-fluoride people and they're like, oh, have you heard this conspiracy or that conspiracy or that one? And you're like, well, what about the, It's just really funny to me that everybody doesn't like it. Hold on, I'm almost finished.
No, I said I wasn't like
and
that.
then suppose no, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. I'm not being judgmental.
No, I know. I understand what you're saying.
I come off that way because when I get excited, I can't not be authoritative. I don't know what it is, but I've tried. And more humility, I guess. But I just think that it's a really funny thing that no matter who you talk to about it, just immediately laughs, and then they'll go back into their, oh, did you watch the last episode of whatever? And you're fully able to talk about all that stuff. But for some reason, this knowledge is like cloaked. Like everybody doesn't want it. And then in my research of going on with the Masonic stuff, like supposedly when you get to a higher level, you're opened up to the knowledge of the Pleiadians. So like, what is that all about? You know, like it's cloaked in society. Like we've almost all been told this is the thing that you need to just completely laugh at, no matter what it is. Do you think I'm onto something, or am I just making all that shit up?
You're absolutely right. The occult is the truth, and what's profane, what's out there is the lie.
The truth is the question.
That's why the Masons call people the profane, you know, because they're doing vile shit because they believe nonsense.
Right.
You know, that's the whole thing. They're also at a level of religion. And I'm at and a magic using group or science group or whatever you want to call it. They're they're a reality affecting entity on a whole.
Have either of you thought of joining the Masons?
No, I will never join a group.
I've only thought of it because when my grandfather got really sick before he died, he gave me a little pamphlet and he really wanted me to become a Mason. And so he told me to, take this, go down to the group, talk to them. I never did, of course. It's in Pennsylvania, but that's always been in the back of my mind that, if I ever wanted an in, I could do it.
A lot of them require you to swear an oath to their deity, the great architect. Who I think
from what I understand, the 32 levels, getting up to the 32nd level is all about basically just swearing allegiance continually and repeating a whole bunch of nonsense.
The 33rd is gifted. It's not.
The 33rd is the next level. It's the next lodge. You can't get into the lodge unless you were brought in and at the 32nd level. From what I understand.
That's where you learn about Xenu.
Right. It's not.
You learn about a whole bunch of shit. Right.
You don't automatically ascend. I've even heard there's 93 levels.
Really?
It's quite possible. Yes. Yeah.
But to me, it's just it's a religion.
But they say you can go from 0 to 32 in under a year if you dedicate yourself to it.
I'm sure you can, and have enough money.
I don't know that it takes a whole lot of money.
It may. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just assume everything takes money to get done in a year.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm sure.
Well, it's time. You got to spend a lot of time doing it, so you got to have the money to do that.
Right.
Look, if I had the time to be a podcaster, I'd be doing it 24/7. Right now, it's 2 days a week, so
right. Even just having to work would block you.
I want to get to 2 days a week, so don't discredit yourself.
Well, no, but I guess my point is, the money you would take, forget your job, pay somebody that amount to go and be a Mason. That's what it costs, and if you can afford it, that's great. So yeah, a normal guy doing it, with a full-time working job, it might take him 15 years, but condense that down. 8 hours, 12 hours, do a 16-hour workday every day, working towards your ultimate goal to have this ultimate understanding of knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
all right. To answer your question about how total playtime is 6 days, 8 hours, 50 minutes, and 10 seconds.
For what?
That's how long I've been playing WoW.
Oh, gotcha.
76th level. Yeah, 6 days.
6 days? Oh,
okay. 24 hours times 6.
Dude, it's faster than being a Mason. 24 hours. It's the right game.
That's what that means. 6 days. 24 times 6 is 48.
Oh, you've had it on that length of time, but you don't know how many hours you've actually put into it.
That is what I'm telling you. 6 days, 8 hours.
You've been sitting there? 8 hours.
No.
In totality.
Dude.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's 24 times. I'll give you a total number here. It's what you need a total. 24 times 6.
I just think I'm misunderstanding that you've been sitting there playing this game for 24 hours a day for 6 days straight.
No. Total. You asked me for the aggregate total.
Yeah. How long did it take to get to level 73?
76, 100, 152 hours.
Okay.
153 hours. Which is a 9.
Brilliant. So you could be a powerful Mason in no time at all.
No thanks.
Well, guys, I hate to say this, but I got to get start going here. I got to roll out and get some dinner and.
Yeah, me too.
But it's been fun, man. This is really cool. I'll talk to Darren and figure out where he wants us to snag this on, and I'll definitely. This will be the next FTK. Wasn't expected, but it was a lot of fucking fun, man. I liked it. Might be one of the better ones.
Well, kind of my idea for the Truffaut show is not really having as much social media blitzing out there and all that stuff. Like, I really do not want to be part of the Google and all that universe. Like,
yeah, you want a natural environment to develop.
No interest in a lot of that. And so then slingshotting around other podcasts, I think, would be the way to do that. Is you try and interview other podcasters, get them on to defend whatever topic it is. Custom design it that way.
No, pick their brains too, and
pick their brains. But then they post it on their site, so that gives you people coming to your site. But it's just word of mouth amongst slingshotting around different podcasts.
Oh, I think it's great. It's the same thing the Grimerica show is doing with Sam Tripoli and with Randall Carlson. And it's not even selfish. It's you got to grow the community, man. And if you're connected and you have truths, then share them.
And it's kind of what I do with the Hive, and I've been calling it cross-pollination, crossing the streams, just getting everyone to talk together because there's too many echo chambers. Let's make one big one.
Well, and I should say this, the idea for Friends to Know comes from reading Rainbow, the lyrics, Friends to Know and Ways to Grow. And I kind of had this idea that Friends to Know would be the Joe Rogan experience when he has his comedian friends on, but for podcasters. And because I'm podcaster friends and I want to be a podcaster, the idea that would be the environment where, man, I can listen to the same guy on 50 different podcasts. And he has the same fucking goddamn conversation and lines about his new book. How about we talk about something completely off topic? Because I find the things that I really am interested in are the things that aren't related to a person directly, but because it gives me a much more full understanding of like what I am interested in their work. So I kind of like the idea that, let's just talk about bullshit, whatever the fuck it is, because those are my favorite podcasts.
Yeah, try and find out like who you're interviewing and what their hobbies might be or something, and try and talk sideline or even try and steer them to sort of justify the other side of whatever it is that they're doing, So if they come on to talk about their DNC, then try and get them to say something good about Trump, I don't know. That's a far out there one, but
let's not get into that because those people cannot even come up with a good thing about Trump.
I'd have to start using my interrogation techniques to start wrapping questions
but could you imagine
really psychological and I don't know,
to get one of them to come around and say something good about him? That would be the best thing that I could hope for, would be to get someone who's on one side to sort of change their mind about it.
Dude, try and get them to come up with one reason why they hate him. What has he done that's so bad?
Oh, he fucked his daughter.
When?
And then they were like, oh no, actually he said that his daughter is beautiful, and if he was younger and they weren't
not her dad
and they weren't, and I wasn't her dad, then
I would date her. I saw.
Then
that.
I would date her. Then I would date her. But the way that it got twisted and the way that it came out of this person's mouth was because he was he made reference to fucking his daughter.
I understand.
Wow.
I understand. I'm just making the point that they believe a fucking lie.
Right. That's what I mean. A super exaggerated.
Cannot rationalize. You can't reason with them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the crazy thing is, it's built upon the fact that
coup de grace would be figuring that out.
But he even saying that, it's a little creepy. But guess what? Imagine you're Donald Trump. Imagine the life he had. Look at his mentors, the people he's around. Look at his family history. How do you not end up that kind of fucked up? So it's one of those weird things where, you can place all the judgment you want, but
dumb thing to say,
it's like Dutch royalty or something. I heard now, and
if that's
cloned and everything.
Yeah.
And they caught Obama's 6th clone this week.
Dude, the one that blew me away was Michelle Obama's junk. Her with a penis and all the times that Obama, and this is the one that blew me away. I'm into psychology and what people say. That tells me everything. Dude, Obama, why are you calling your wife Michael?
Yeah.
That's the one that gets me. I'm like, I don't care about the bulge in the pants. That could be who knows
and
what.
What's his friend's?
But
and what's his friend that looks just like her? What's his friend's name? Michael Donaldson or something.
No, it's Michael. He was Michelle.
Right. What was his name before that? I forgot.
Michael something. Michael Murray, I think.
No, it wasn't Michael.
Yep. That's why I'm crazy, because I believe things like that. Dude, you're calling your wife Michael. It's probably a man. I'm sorry. I can't.
That is the name.
I'm okay with that. I don't care, but let's admit it.
Andy Basiago said, that Barry's been was CIA. He's been CIA. He's CIA. So is Anderson Cooper. All these people.
Dude, yeah, of course.
Whatever.
Our whole world
Michelle
is like a
Obama
CIA construct in front of us,
Yeah, totally. Totally. If Michelle Obama is actually a dude and played that off, then I give them a lot of credit. And I'm just saying, how come you didn't come out about the whole thing? That's all I'm saying. Why was the whole thing kept secret? Why was it so...
You would have been ahead of the game if you'd done it a little
underhanded.
earlier.
Why didn't you just come right out with it?
First tranny presidential wife? Holy shit.
But, at the same time, as I think most men are, you have this chemical structure to where you see a female from a long way off, you can tell it's a female. And a lot of the times you look at Michelle Obama, it's just you don't see that. That thing. I don't know exactly what that is, but it's like the shape. It's like the shape where like the hips are slightly wider than the shoulders, where for her it's backward. She has really broad shoulders.
A manly dude, a manly woman.
I just think that if that's the case, you should just come right out and say it. Don't.
If you called your wife Michael in public, do you think she would let you do it again? Especially when you're the president. I mean, come on. There's going to be like, what the fuck were you thinking, dude?
The only person,
the Attorney Deputy General, I think, whose name was Michael something or other.
The only person who really outed it that was of any import was
Alex.
Joan Rivers.
Did she really?
Yeah, she said,
that's right. She did.
She said Obama's gay and Michelle's a tranny.
That's right.
Yep.
And then she died in the hospital.
But then she was seen like 3 months later out for dinner in LA.
Yes, totally the same voice.
I think a lot of these people have not actually died. I think they're just all moving somewhere else or off planet. Or who knows.
I hate to bring it up, but just Google pictures of John McCarthy and pictures of, what's the guy in the wheelchair? Brief History of Time. Stephen Hawking.
Hawking's not real. He is not a real person.
Well, he was a real person. He's just been interchanged multiple times for another decrepit person that's... Yes, the real person.
You don't ever see him.
Well, you do, but he looks different. How come the guy that they roll out looks different than the guy that they used to roll out?
But those pictures are 20 years old.
And he just puts out creepy boogeyman stuff like the black
exist.
hole is coming for us all. Oh, no, wait. 6 months later, black holes don't exist.
They don't exist. They're theoretical.
I think it's funny because they've got this this chunk of rock or whatever coming in. It's like 3 miles wide here in December 17th or something.
Yeah.
And they're talking about how it's like part of a comet, and they're still saying in mainstream major publications that a comet has an icy tail. Where
it's
I know
plasma.
Like a decade ago, the physicists were like, dude, in your face, like we totally are right and you're wrong. It's not
probably
an icy
all
tail.
or both, right? If you get
so
water
why are they
near the
still
sun,
telling us that it is?
I think it could be both. If you had water near a heat source,
you can't have steam in a vacuum. That's why.
But you could have water.
Yeah.
Water, going off, and also plasma. But again, it's always for me all or both.
Comets exist on a flat Earth? I don't even know.
They're pretty lights. They're also part of the rendered sky. I don't know, dude. I don't know what the flat earthers think. They think it's a dome.
Well, I wonder because, in the whole Pleiadian stuff, they talk about how they're different. When a planet is destroyed, there's a way to cocoon all of the souls. And then when they're ready, you put them back onto another planet. And then they can continue their life cycle to live out as a civilization.
Does it say they do anything while they're cocooned?
Well, it's like you're healing and working on your lessons that you want to go through, but you're healing because a lot of times when a planet blows up, it just completely obliterates you have a sort of like your DNA. There's like this etheric body in it, and it blows the etheric body apart. And it's very difficult to get it all come back together. Right. So you take a shattered vase and you put it inside this thing, and after a while it becomes a vase again.
I understand.
Yeah. And so it would make sense that if you followed along with that shit. There was something just before that we were talking about. It was you can cocoon them and you mash up all these different like races and different people from all different places, then the Earth is going to be populated. The different races are actually on different timelines from different, possibly entirely different solar systems that have all been placed here because they're all on the same path, like in a linear fashion. They're all around the same age. You're in the same age range. So you've all been put into this school and you're in 3rd grade on Earth kind of thing. But they're from all different walks of life in different places.
I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying it sounds bogus. It sounds bogus like school. It sounds like school. Okay. It sounds like indoctrination. It sounds like something if I was...
It's really deep, and it's got a lot to it, for sure. I totally get all of that, what you're saying.
I heard John B. Wells say something once. He said, if there's, like, nothing, like, behind what's going on, like, if there's not an underlying thing, then nothing makes sense. And that's where I come from. Like, unless there is some... like spiritual underpinning to reality, then nothing makes sense. I can't wrap my head around it. So I say there has to be something.
But what if, see, I'm of the opinion that spirituality is a technology that we don't understand.
I completely agree.
Well, that's what
theosophy all technology came from the brain. It's just, look,
but it's
consciousness. Consciousness molds the world and makes your body, and our mind molds the physical world, which makes the computer and everything else. It is technology. It's all one and the same. It's just an amalgamation and a manifestation of information.
I agree. So space is fake.
That's right. It's all technology, man. Dude.
It's all rendered for your enjoyment.
Well, on that, guys, I do have to get going here. But go on. I'll let you close out.
Profound statement to end the show. Yes. That the awakening means that our eyeballs are upgrading to 4K, and the current resolution, we can see through it now.
We're getting a software upgrade.
Something.
Sounds stupid, but I cured myself with The Secret, although I don't think it was that. I stopped wearing glasses after using focused thought. And that was an upgrade. That was a software upgrade that manifested in a physical reality. And why can't that scale up to infinity? Little steps.
Well, it's easy as changing your mind about something. That's all you have to do. Yep. You just change your mind and you just say, my eyesight's fine. It's perfect. And you keep saying that. What's that one guy? He talks about the electric universe where there's a very small portion of a wavelength, like a trillionth of a second. And it's where the universe blinks. The universe blinks on and off.
That's his last name, Lighthouse.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The 4 billion times a second.
Yeah, so the more you meditate, then the more you're, when it's turning on and off, you can actually create who you become. That's why, like, the ancient Japanese warriors would just sit on the field and one of them would win just by thinking about it, right? You've heard that, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure that was a thing. Not that I could prove it, but I'm sure it was a thing.
And there's levitation,
good story,
teleportation, and shape-shifting. All these stories exist. And they probably are true.
Too.
Yep.
And I would
Thanks,
say...
guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, dude, it was fun. This will go out, and we'll talk later. We'll keep in touch, man. Michael, stay around. You're fucking awesome. Like, just keep in touch. Don't disappear.
Well, yeah, we just need to set up a time if you want.
Yeah, anytime. Well, we did it now, so... But I'll be around, man. I'll see you.
Cool. Cheers.
Yeah, lots of fun, guys.
Later.
Coney Island, the world's greatest fun frolic, with its beach miles long, all peppered with people. The place where merriment is king.
Hailstorm damage got you blue? Sunburn get you let down? Well, introducing the new Chemtrails. Chemtrails are a convenient new chemtrail that we've plow through your sky to ensure you with the haziest and non-blue sky that you could have.
Chemtrails.
Choose from our variety of geo-engineered aerosols loaded with toxic chemicals. Some chemicals may include barium, strontium-90, aluminum, cadmium, zinc, viruses of all sorts and varieties, and chaff, which actually looks like snow, but may actually be fibers coated with aluminum, desiccated blood cells, plastic, and paper. All chemtrails can be conveniently customized for your needs. Just ask our friend here, James Cruz.
Chemtrails.
James Cruz ordered the barium, strontium-90, and the chaff. And the chaff he chose was desiccated blood cells and plastic.
Chemtrails.
So I'm sitting in my backyard getting sunburned constantly, and I hear this ad come on the radio. Chemtrails.
Chemtrails.
And what they can do for you is amazing. For 33 payments of $333,
Chemtrails.
No more sunburn. Thanks, Chemtrails.
Chemtrails.
Thanks, Chemtrails.
Chemtrails.
That's right, James. For 33 easy payments of $330, you too could have a hazy sky with zero sun and zero sunburn.
Chemtrails.
With our brand new technology coming straight out of MIT, we fitted an airplane with nozzles, and we can come to any area in the world and spray your backyard.
Chemtrails.
Warning, warning, warning! Symptoms associated with chemtrails include aneurysms, strokes, heart attacks, and cancer.
Chemtrails.
Other side effects may include irradiated breast milk, anal leakage, jock itch, runny nose, irregular vaginal discharge, glaucoma, heavy metal poisoning, lockjaw, and low sperm count, persistent hacking, coughing, upper respiratory and intestinal distress, pneumonia, extreme fatigue, disorientation, lethargia, dizziness, splitting headaches, elevated arthritis symptoms, nosebleeds, blah blah blah, yada yada, etc., doctors, blah blah blah, death.
Chemtrails.
If you want it, we spray it. So get your chemtrails today. Call 1-900-GRAY-SKY. That's 1-900-GRAY-SKY. That's 1-900-WEFUCKED.
Thanks, chemtrails.
I'm always down for some heavy breathing.
For sure.
Especially with a bunch of dudes.